Welcome to Friedman Adventures, everybody. Our live show here this evening, and I'm super excited. Jolene Thompson, it's always good to see
Good
you.
to see you too, Phil.
Thanks for being here.
You bet, anytime.
And the man of the hour. I got a lot to learn about you because I don't know anything about you.
I know.
Nathan Beall.
Nice to
How are you,
meet
buddy?
I'm doing great.
Throwing your Worm King stuff around here.
Appreciate the invite.
Oh, my pleasure. So, what do you think? Let's just cut to the chase really quick. Is there going to be bluefin again this year?
Yeah, there's going to be bluefin.
Is that a given?
10 years ago, I would have said not that size, but yeah, it's gotten to the point where we're getting 300-pound fish within 10 miles like the last 8 years. So,
That's crazy.
yeah, I just did hear today about a big massive bluefin just south of the border. It's on one of your sites.
Breaking news, everybody.
People are getting
Breaking
excited
news.
about it. I don't know. I mean, but it just seems like the seiners are taking a lot less fish.
Right.
They're meeting their quotas, and that's
Yeah,
happening early.
the tuna pin guys they've met their quota this year.
Yeah.
They're done.
Yeah.
Which is amazing when
Yeah.
you think about it. And I know the Pacific Dawn is running a 2.5-day trip. There's fish at 140 miles. There's still fish on Cortez Bank. There's fish on the 60.
Yeah.
There's bluefin everywhere. I thought when I was a kid, the reason I didn't get my captain's license was I used to fish out of Redondo. We had some spectacular fishing, but we went through a stretch of catching 3 blue perch and a mackerel for 90 people.
Yeah.
And I go, there's not even gonna be fishing in the future. It's done. So I'm not doing this. I'll figure out something. Boy, my predictions are always just, if I say red, bet on black.
Let's go to Vegas.
Is fishing better now than it's ever been, you guys?
From my experience, it's better for the big bluefin for sure. The Dorado last year was best. I think any of us have seen it, you know. But back in the day, the albacore were all we caught.
Yeah.
Know?
Yeah,
It's a big
for
eye.
sure.
Yeah.
I mean, '83, I got really hooked on this. There was 8 albacore just limits on half-day boats, and we're getting big eye fish. You know, big eye up to 125 pounds on half days. So it was just out of this world. But you know, we saw a lot of that, and I got tired of catching albacore at a certain point. Eating, I shouldn't say catching.
Yeah.
So
I miss
it's
eating them now.
It's nice
and
to see
catching
these
them.
big boys. You know.
That's true. We're so blessed.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no doubt. Let's give a couple guys. Isaac says, good evening, everybody.
Hey, Isaac.
And California Saltwater. What's up, Phil? Do you think there will be an El Nino this year? They're predicting that. Albert Ponce says, good evening, fellas. And Friedman Adventures family, 3 great people. And you guys have any questions as this interview goes on? You're going to learn a lot more about Nathan, and you're going to be able to ask him whatever question you want, within reason, okay? If you're going to try to delve into his romantic life, I'm going to put a stop to that. So, hey, for people who don't know that much about you, what do? What kind of boats do you have? You got 6-packs, right?
I've got 6-packs. I've got the Long Run, which is a 40-foot trawler.
Let's focus on that then. So a trawler is a little bit slower, right?
A little bit slower, yeah, 8-knot boat.
Yep.
And I've been running that since '98. And
when I say slower, I mean for a 6-pack. That's about what
yeah, it's
the
about what the
sport
commercial
boats run.
are doing.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
But, you know, before that, I had a Viking for 4 years, and that was a lot faster, but it was gas.
Yeah.
And it was wood, so it was a constant Bondo-like situation.
Oh my God, yeah, a lot of
gas
repair.
engines. I mean, I put 16,000 miles on my first diesel in that boat. That's a lot.
Yeah.
So this one I've got 28,000 hours in it. Before I stopped running it and having other people kind of take over, get into the architecture thing.
Yeah.
But my thing is, 4 or 5 years ago, I didn't want to just be able to go out and do the overnighters and the 2 days and half-day boats. And, there's this mid-range where people want to go out in the 8 to 10, 12 hour and get tuna. So I got the Witchy Woman, which is a 40-knot Chris Craft Scorpion, 31-foot.
Man, talk about both ends of the spectrum.
Both ends of the spectrum entirely. It's got a tuna tower. They both have great electronics. We did a big remodel on the Long Run last year and got side scan and 4-scoop bait tank, extended the cockpit, and did a full retrofit,
While we're talking about this, is there a website where people might be able to
Yeah,
jump on and look at?
thelongrunsportfishing.com.
TheLongRunSportFishing.com.
Correct.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
The Long Run.
they're both on there.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And so you got one that goes 40 knots, one that goes 8. I'm guessing trawlers are usually super comfortable.
They're very comfortable. The lines are beautiful. The bow is excellent to fish on because it flares out, and we've got a real quiet engine. So we could sneak up on these fish when they're, either puddling or we're seeing turns or we're seeing, patties. and we can slide up on them with 6 people on the bow and throwing, low bridge. Just
Oh,
get
so it's a
casting on
good
there.
bow for throwing irons,
Excellent.
poppers.
And it's a full walk around. Now we've got the cockpit expanded, so we've got a 4-scoop bait tank back there and an extra 3 or 4 feet of room. So we've got a lot of room in both the front and back. So the full walk around works great. Keep a bunch of people hung and away from each other at the same time.
Right.
It's a great fishing platform.
Have you fished on it?
Well, I actually work on the boat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I worked on the boat this year, and it's very comfortable. I mean, the walk around, the rails, the bait tank. We get a family of 6 on there, and everyone's comfortable, spread out. Inside's nice.
You're a galley cook, or are you
I'm
working the
on,
deck?
She's working it.
Deckhand.
Wow. What a great crew you got there, man.
Absolutely.
Nobody better than Jolene.
That's right. We're happy to get her.
That's fantastic. Hey, guys, do you think these bluefin have called Tannerbank home for a while? What do you think?
Seems like they have outside Clemente all the way to Tanner, Avalon. That's been the go-to,
Well, doesn't that seem like, and tell me if I'm wrong, because I'm often wrong. So it seems like they start down below Ensenada, and then they work their way up, and then they start to bend out there, and they go by Clemente and Catalina, and then they end up out there on the bank for the fallback.
And Cortez. And
Yeah,
they,
right.
And they sit out there, it seems like, most of the year. I got I got a 198 a couple of years ago in November, so they're sticking around
amazing,
just
right?
off of Clemente.
Yeah.
And that's kite fishing, and that's what's been fun with the bigger fish is that we got turned on to that about 8 years ago, and I'd heard about it in Mexico and, Puerto Vallarta and this and that with, mackerel. But, doing the flyers, we started with the yummies and the artificials and got a few that way. But the dead flyers has been pretty much the key. If you got to use a balloon, it depends on the wind that you're dealing with, but if you're in the 8 to 10 knot wind, you can keep that kite going without the balloon, and you can just sit and drift. And this thing's going in and out of the water. If you got to reel in and let it go back out to give it that action, but these explosions are like 10, 15 feet high before they get set,
How bitchin', huh?
Yeah, it's
I
just
mean,
awesome.
that visual is such an exciting part of this, isn't it?
It really is. It really is. And then we're in the, the rod holder, so I got the bent sticks, and they're, doing wicked tuna style.
Oh, that's awesome.
Unfortunately, it's not all like rod belts and this and that, but no point. I'm 50. I don't need to kill myself anymore.
Yeah. I'm pushing way above beyond that. So I get it. Man, that sounds so exciting. And it looks like we are looking down the barrel of another tremendous year. We have, up in this area, we have squid everywhere, more market squid than we've seen in a long time. And California Saltwater Fishing is asking about the El Nino. They are predicting an El Nino late in the year. So, warm water, no albacore. I'm going to guarantee that'd probably be so many. I mean, like, this is a La Nina, and you had historic catches of Dorado.
Right.
It's like,
Well, the El
I'm gonna
Nino
give up on
before
my
it was like
predictions.
every 10 years would get
Yeah.
an El Nino about that, So in '83, I think you started in '81 and '83. I came out here 11 years old, and like I said, it was just crazy. El Nino year. But then we had them about every 10 years. And they just stopped, once we got to 8 years ago or so, those bluefin, instead of 100 pounders within 100 miles, we're getting 300 pounders within 10 miles. It's a 9-mile bank, fishing the kite. And I think it might be technique, a lot of it. I've heard there's even much bigger bluefins, hearsay, that are all outside of Clemente a lot, and I've heard granders. But I don't know. But I think it's the technique. I think the dead flyers is just second to none as far as getting those things to go.
Arnie Man is watching from beautiful Ensenada, Baja, California. So is Victor. And he says, ya salieron las palomitas, which means he's got his popcorn going. He loves watching us with the popcorn. That is great. Yo me llamo Felipe también, says this guy. Hey, mucho gusto. He said his name's Philip also. Another guy in there. Arnie Man, tuna reports outside Collinette. I think a boat left straight for there this Friday. I hope they do well. So there you go. There's some BFT down there around Punta Collinette. That is sounding really juicy to me, man. I mean, because it's freaking cold out.
It's cold.
It's
39,
the dead of
36,
winter.
or was it 39
37 this morning.
Yeah.
outside? I know the water temp is.
When I get back from doing the morning briefing, I do it barefoot. My
No.
feet are numb.
No shoes.
No shit, man. toxic masculinity. Proud of it. You know, feel my hands, how tough they are.
They are.
Yeah, no, they're
Smooth
not.
as
Yeah,
silk.
I know, man. Everybody was like, "What the hell? What is
Been off the
that
boat
all
for a while.
about?"
Hey, you're pushing a pin. That's all right.
Yeah, right.
Hey, Chilo Fisher says hello, everyone. So,
Jello.
yeah, Cello, pardon me. Do you think the seiners can ruin the bite out there? I don't think they can anymore because of the quotas.
Anymore, they could. They were. I mean, at one time,
yeah.
I looked around a couple of years. I think it was 3 years ago, and I counted 18 seiners at one time in one shot. The last few years, from what I understand, they've been meeting their quotas. They changed what they were able to do.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's the Japanese getting the Mexican boats to come in and do this, or them giving them access to the Mexican waters.
Yeah.
So they've got quotas that are different now, and I think shutting them down early, and that's why we're getting to see all these fish come up that were probably coming up before, but we just didn't see them. They're wrapping them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Travis Bright just sent $10 in here. It's such a great show. Mike Trunk.
Yay.
I won a code for obstinate fluorocarbon on here about 3 weeks ago. Sent an email about the code to Greg, and he said he was real busy with all the orders and would go out the next day. Stand up guy. He sure is, Mike. I mean, I love him. He's a great guy to work with. Fantastic human being, so I'm happy to hear that. Scott Bucher, the Pacific Dawn, is trying to do a tuna trip out of Fisherman's Landing. Have you heard anything about that, Nathan? I know he's doing a 2.5. So
No.
he's not running a trip
Okay.
if he doesn't think that he's going to give his people a
Well,
viable
I think
chance.
this might be tied to what I was talking
Yes.
about that massive bluefin, because
Yeah.
I was reading a bit on your stuff that
Yeah.
there's a big volume of fish that got wrapped too, but we'll see what they find. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, years ago, I mean, the Mazatlan fleet used to come up here and wrap all this fish, and they had to stop because there was regs put in and all kinds of stuff. They wouldn't buy their fish anymore, Costco and all the big, so they had to stop that. So, I mean, I remember, you know, where they wrap you. They would wrap. You'd be there, and they'd wrap you. You're on a sport boat. It's like, and there's freaking
Can I get out?
helicopters, and there's all this
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
It looked like a war zone almost.
Yeah.
But those days are long gone, and now we're reaping the benefits of that. There's so much fish around.
Yeah.
I remember fishing the Pacific Queen years ago when we were by the tuna pens fishing Mexican waters, and so they were feeding the fish, you know, like, and so I'm thinking, okay, well, let's let this tuna pen pass the boat on the port side,
Yeah,
and all that oil and stuff is coming out of those big nets.
yeah.
And sure enough,
Little chum
Oh, how
hooked up a
cool.
bluefin right away.
That is so cool. Travis, thanks again for throwing us $10, man. I can get a burrito on the way home now, man. I can eat. Thank God. By the way, these lovely hats are available. If you go to our Facebook page, Friedman Adventures, you can grab a hat. So there's a link there. It goes to the embroidery website of the guy that's doing it because
Good
I'm
hats,
not.
too.
Yeah, you look good with that.
Yeah, they fit
And-
well.
And you can pick up a hat this evening, so we would love you to do that. All right, Scott Grant, Phil, who are your guests? What do they do? Well, Scott, if you were freaking listening a few minutes ago, why don't you repeat it for Scott? We'll just ruin the whole flow of the show.
Yeah.
Six-pack.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm Nathan Beall. I've got a couple of 6-packs in San Diego. A couple of very different boats. Been doing it for 29 years. Witchy Woman, very fast boat, and the Long Run. It's a 40-foot trawler. It's better for the local trips and the kid and the big families. And if you're going offshore for tuna overnighters, terrific boat. Great
So-
platform.
Scott is asking a good question, actually. Scott, I'm kidding you. You know that. I love you, Scott. And I was going to ask this question, so he picked it out of my brain. Novice anglers. First time, these people hear 300-pound bluefin, and they're like, man, I'm going to the trout pond. Okay? I can't catch that. I have no idea how to do
Right.
it. You will help them realize their sport fishing dream, I'm assuming.
That's what the goal is. I mean, we've had so many good, I've probably been through 150 employees, and we've really gotten to a point, and I've had great ones and I've had not so great ones, but what I've tried to focus on is customer service and having people really care about the kids, taking care of the families, taking care of the less experienced people, and give them just as much help as they want, because you don't want to
Right.
overdo it. Some people know everything, and they usually end up not
Yeah,
doing so
I
well.
gotcha.
Their girlfriend with the old coffee grinder does.
Yeah, right.
So I keep my mouth shut when I need to, but our guys are super hands-on with the kids, and they make it, an excellent experience for me.
Tommy Rothra used to run the Polaris Supreme, owned the Polaris Supreme for many, many years. And he was talking to me one day. He's got your exact theory. I said, what do you look for when you're hiring a guy that knows how to gaff really well? He goes, no, fishing experience. I can teach him that.
Yeah,
I can't teach him people skills.
Yeah.
I want somebody who is decent with people, good with people. And
Yeah.
that's exactly what you're saying.
Well, I'll give you a story about that in '83 when I was getting these albacore and limits, and 11-year-old kid, I'm on one of those 25-pound pin, 500s, and I'm pinned to the rail, and well, a deckhand, probably 16-year-old kid comes and grabs my rod, cranks the drag down, snap, and hands me the rod back.
And you want to
says,
cry.
And I was like, wow. 'Cause
Yeah.
I had a lot of fishing experience. I probably couldn't have caught him, but at least it would have been my fish that I lost. So,
Yeah.
Your audience, have the kids say, hey, do you want me to help? Do you want, me to get your bait? That's a huge thing too, bait selection. Do you want me to tell you how to rig this? And we'll go through an initial run through of the boat and the techniques we're using for the day, the safety features and all that. But throughout the day, we're telling these guys, hey, pick the bright colored baits, pick the stuff without the red, and pick the liveliest one, and use the lighter line, use the circle hooks, and I like red Andy, the pink Andy. It's just the first color to disappear.
Yeah.
I'd fish 12-pound next to people fishing 25 and 30, and I'd catch 34 fish to their one. So, that was always my thing, is on the bigger boats, you can't do it as well because you got a lot of competition. You're going to be on that fish forever. They don't want you fishing that light stuff.
Yeah.
And there's spectra all over the place, so people just free spool and ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, right.
So, but this is a nice thing about the 6-packs is you can keep these lines separated. You can fish them light line. You can get 3 fish, 4 fish hooked up, and if you land 1 or 2 of these beasts, and it's usually the bigger ones. I don't know why, but these jackpot fish that's what I would catch after getting a bunch of flack for fishing 12-pound.
Oh, right,
And
right.
A couple of jackpots on the holiday when Steve used to run that boat.
Oh my God, that's going back a ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Add on the Pacific Queen.
Yep,
We get
I loved it.
five bluefin and 100-pound range one day, but it was always fishing light.
Yep. Those were good, special days, weren't they?
Yeah.
Speaking of Tommy, he took us out on the Polaris Supreme one day, and my kids jumped in the tuna pen and swam with the tuna.
Oh my God.
Yeah, a bunch of people did. Not me. Good luck, kids.
Did you ever hear about the guy that he ran his boat inside a tuna pen?
Oh yeah.
He's a good friend. He's a good friend.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That
And
was
he
one of
was
those, I
in
don't
the
know if I
Coast
would've
Guard at one
mentioned
time.
Yeah, really. Brett
They
Enders.
fished it though, right?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Brett Enders says Jolene is rad. Great to fish with her on the Relentless. He was with us on the Relentless trip.
Yeah, that was a fun trip.
And Jeff says, good evening, Phil, Nathan, and Jolene.
Press the like button.
Yeah, hit the like button, everybody, please. I don't want Nathan to break into tears. All right, Joe says, what is your outlook for this coming season, Nathan? Notice he doesn't ask me because I always get it wrong. So, Nathan, nail it for him.
If I've got any finger on the pulse, it's going to be one of the best ones we've had.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm kind of feeling that way, too.
With the Dorado, with the restrictions on the tuna, the amount of Dorado we saw last year was hands down the best I've ever seen.
Me too.
In 30 years, 29 years, about 34.
Tom
fishing,
Durr,
29 fishing.
he runs a boat out of here. He's 90 or 143 years old. He said that too. So yeah.
So that says a lot, and we may not see the Humboldts, which is good. We may not see the albacore, which I don't care. I like catching big bluefin. I like catching Dorado. I like catching yellowfin because those yellowfin are excellent in the freezer.
Yeah, right.
And Dorado is excellent in the freezer. So for me, I think it's going to be one of the best years for exotics that we've had in recent history.
Joe, doesn't that get you excited, man? Listen to this guy. He's right on. It really does sound good. Good to see you in the chat, Evan. Talking to each other there. They're talking about you giving awesome advice. Do you bleed the bluefin tuna and have ice on the boat for the best quality tuna? Robert wants to know.
Yes. If I on any fish, to be honest, I take the gills and I tear them. Cuts don't bleed as well, so I take the gills and I rip them and I put them in salty brine with the ice and they bleed themselves. So that for me is the best way to get the best quality fish, unless you're spiking and doing the full Japanese style. But yeah, that's a quick fix for me.
Yeah.
Unless it's big Dorado and then you want your gloves.
Yeah. No kidding, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so your fish comes out of their sushi quality,
Yeah,
sashimi
we're not
quality.
putting them in a bag and letting them sit in the sun. We're putting them on
Yeah.
ice and hopefully a brine. You know.
And we have free fish cleaning.
Oh,
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
So fish cleaning is included?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it all included? Like, do you have the gear and all that stuff?
All the gear, bait,
Bait.
tackle, filleting. We let people bring their own food, but we can supply on overnighters. We'll do some cooking in the galley and this and that. Whatever the clients like, we can go pick that up and prepare it on the trip.
Yeah. Jeff Yeoman's got a question for you. Can you explain the rockfish regs this year? Good luck.
My understanding of the rockfish regs, they're just shut off until March.
Right.
And we'd
So
stop.
April here.
Is it
Yeah.
March 31st?
Yeah, right. Correct.
So, I believe the Humboldts took a big chunk out of that while they were here 15 years ago, 20 years ago, and would literally go out and get a couple thousand pounds in 3 hours. And they just, it's like the locusts. They just ate everything. So
Yeah.
we were told go kill as many as possible. So we didn't make a dent, trust me.
Yeah, I know. You can't, right?
But it was good eating and I
and
think
fun. They're fun to
they're
catch,
fun.
actually. Yeah.
We do pretty well. We've got some good rockfish spots, and it's just time on the water and coordinates, and a couple decades of that, 3 decades of that, and we got some good spots.
So it goes from April to some point in the year, and then it goes all deep water, or
Yeah,
something?
it's over I think
300,
or
right?
something,
Yeah.
So, but yeah, anything locally. But if you guys want to go get them now, Mexican waters are okay. So
There's no closed season in San Diego.
yeah,
Not in, but I mean, you're so close to the border, you just go across the border and you can catch rockfish.
that's right.
Yeah.
And the fish are bigger. From my experience out there, we do find a couple of holes that we mark and we have that are real good, but most of them are right at the bend, right at the corner and in Mexican water. So that's what I'd recommend. 9 Mile Bank has some real good rock fishing too.
Yeah.
We just stay away from the big cowcod.
One thing I've never fished down there is like 100 fathom stuff, like, where you're catching those giant cows and all that stuff. Is there some of that around? There's gotta be.
It's around.
Gotta
We did some black cod actually, and I've got a couple of coordinates for those guys down in Mexico. But it's
Have you caught them down there?
yeah.
Full speed?
Oh well, not even full speed. You get 50 Ganyons, and you can you could fill every one of them up.
Wow.
Breaking reels, the automatic reels. But there's a lot down there, but it's very, very deep. And if you're cranking on a big international or something, you better be in good shape.
Yeah.
So that's I stopped doing that.
Yeah. We used to catch those things in the Santa Monica Bay in 200-300 feet of water.
They're
Full
delicious.
speed, sablefish, or black cod.
Yeah.
And to tell you the truth, there's a guy that you just met. We won't divulge who he was, but he showed me some photos of some stuff. He'll probably kill me for saying this. but some stuff nearby here,
Oh really?
and he gets them. And I'm like, whoa! I mean, if these guys, they're gonna want to know now.
Uh-oh.
If they knew, I mean, and you go load up on those things, like you said, they're great eating.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're commercial fish, and so.
And they
Wonder if
freeze
they're
well
gonna
because they got a little more oil in them, and
Yeah.
they're but they're not oily tasting. They're not yeah.
Isaac wants to know, are you taking notes on this so we can
No.
have him back and make fun of him later on?
Sure.
Any wahoo this year? And by that, I'm
Oh,
guessing
yeah, wahoo.
he's talking about,
Oh, my
let's say,
God.
to
In
the
US
Coronado
waters.
Islands. Yeah, or in U.S. waters.
In U.S. waters, I don't know. I guess so with the turnout of Dorado last year. We got one of the first ones that was caught about a 65. I think it was 4 or 5 years ago when they
Yeah.
first showed up here.
Yeah.
And we got a 65, but I had 4 of my Marauders
That was El Nino year.
hooked. The rings to the hooks, and these are the big boys chopped off. So they're eating the hell out of my hooks, and those Makos can't do that. And there's nothing else that does that because they got that one bone, that acts like scissors, and they just cut them off. So we lost 4 or 5 fish that way.
Yeah.
But we did get a 65, and they're hopefully they're going to be here. We'll see.
That would be cool,
I think
man.
that was the El Nino year, wasn't it?
Yes, I know it's warm water. Yeah, I think
when
it was.
It was finally picking the different, the bigger bluefin. That's when it fully kicked in. So maybe it was 6-7 years ago.
Yeah. It was, yeah.
I
think
was,
it was.
Fishing with a friend on a 17-foot Parker right out of Oceanside on a Saturday, and their boats are, they're targeting them. And we're just right off of Camp Pendleton. We weren't even 4 miles off the beach, and we caught one. And there was this ice chest lid, old school white ice chest lid,
Uh-oh.
a ways, and
Yeah.
I go, let's
check that
let's
out.
check that out, because I think wahoo are curious, fast and curious.
Yeah.
And sure enough, we got hit right before we got there, and it was, I don't know, 55-pounder. But I think the wahoo were caught maybe up in LA waters.
Oh yeah, out here at the oil rigs. Yeah,
rigs?
yeah. They caught them in the rigs. I don't know how far up north. Maybe one of our guys in the Friedman Adventure family would know, but at least to the rigs, I know that. They were on those rigs for a while. It's just like mind-boggling.
Yeah.
You know, you get a long
you
range.
think you're in Mexico, like
Yeah.
way deep, you know, Guadalupe or, you know, down in Cabo. I fished quite a bit down there and still haven't got one down there. Hundreds and hundreds of Dorado, dozens of Marlin, but I mean the wahoo is one that's eluded me down there, and the blue Marlin. You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, lots of sailfish and lots of tuna and lots of everything else.
I fish down there a lot, and have I ever caught a wahoo down there?
I've missed a few down there. Too.
Maybe. I don't think, you know, I've got a lot of sailfish like you and marlin and tons of yellowfin, tons of Dorado, but I don't know if I've ever caught a who, you know?
That's the one thing. We got one on the boat, but it wasn't mine.
Oh, yeah. I've caught them on long
65
range.
wasn't mine. Yeah.
You've caught them too on long range boats or whatever, maybe.
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
No, so it's still my bucket list. Yeah.
This
And I
friggin'
love the way they eat. They're so tasty.
God,
you know?
they're great.
Yeah.
It's also funny, like, you know, you hook the thing and you're in the stern, and then all of a sudden you see your lines in the bow, like,
Yeah.
They're so freaking fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing stuff. So that boat, the Witchy Woman, does 40 knots. So you're on Tannerbank in a couple hours.
Yeah.
Am I right?
If it's calm, you know, if it's not, I mean, we took it down 60 miles on the 12-hour, and it was pretty rough, 3-4 foot chop on the way back, but it's so long and narrow.
It cuts through it.
It cuts through it. Like
Yeah.
it's like silk, you know.
Yeah.
And so you get a little bit of wet, you know, you want to wear your rain gear, but I mean, the thing just handles beautifully. So we went down, fished 60 miles, got tuna, got yellowfin, skipjack, and came back and fished the bay for 3 hours on a 12-hour.
What the heck?
Yeah, so I mean, it's just like that, you know. So if you want to get out to Clemente or whatever, just watch the weather, you know.
Yeah.
But,
Steve
yeah.
Bermuda says, hit the like button. I agree. Hit that like button, please. Do you know Kelly Macias?
Yeah, I do. She's my roommate.
She says, there
Hi,
she
Kelly.
is. So she's happy to see you. So is everybody else. Where's Brandon? He's always.
I don't know where Brandon
Yeah. I don't either. We had the Kings trainer on here last week, and he wanted an autograph, so I got him an autograph, and I haven't heard from him since. I'm going to sell him. Find some other guy named Brandon who wants this guy's autograph.
There's only one Brandon.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Thank God.
Hi, Brandon.
Yeah. Thank God. So you mentioned the bay a couple of times. How's the bay fishing, and what kind of trips do you have? And you're shaking your head, so it sounds like it's going to be phenomenal.
It's just something that I feel like I kind of put the stamp on, you know, fishing it for so long and developing a clientele base, because most of our clients, I would say, all of them, 80% are not experienced.
Yeah.
You know, so we get out-of-towners, we get tourists all the time, and they want to go on a 6-hour trip. What's your shortest trip? We tried 5s for a while, but only with Witchy now, like 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah.
So anyways, we spend a lot of time in the bay. We know, all of us, where the fish are. Mike's done this for 35 years in Kona. He knows the bay real well. He's been with me for 5 or 6 years now. Ross has been with me for 15 years, you know, and these guys are approaching 60 or over 60, and they're second to none. They just know, you know, where these drop-offs are. They're ambush predators, and we get some absolute toads.
So what are you talking about? Halibut?
Yeah.
Yeah, right? And
Big, I mean, you know, a lot in the 30 to 40 pound class.
I'm
know?
so into that.
A lot. I mean,
That sounds so fun.
maybe 30, 35 of them in that range.
Yeah.
But tons in the 20s and teens.
Really?
Not uncommon at all, you know.
And what's the best time of year to do that?
Coming up, I think right now, probably late February through March, early April is the spring spawn, and it's off the hook.
Yeah.
You know, I had a 12-year-old, this is a couple of years back, a number of years back, but 12-year-old kid got a 38 top fish, and his 4 other fish were 16 pounds and up.
Really?
I'm not talking inches, I'm talking pounds. 38 pounds is his big boy. So I got a picture of him. The fish is almost as big as he is, but he got a 5-fish limit that day, and it was all his fish.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, we know where to find them.
So you're just focused on halibut, or are you catching sand bass and spotted bay bass?
Yeah, we catch all of them, but we really like that to be the bread and butter of the trip, because we got trophy fish in here. You know, on a 6-hour, and not many people recognize the potential in there. There's tons of leopard sharks. We got a couple of world records out of there, 3 actually. We practice catch and release. We advocate that, but you know, there's lots of bass. There's black sea bass. We get a lot of
Really?
15 to 75 pounders. I went 5 for 6 in trips a couple of years ago, and they're all thrown back. You know, they're protected, but it's a hell of a kick. You know, getting a
Sure.
75-pound black sea bass in the bay. you
Yeah,
know.
that sounds amazing.
Yeah, we just get their bladder shut down with a little syringe, and we send them back down. But yeah.
That sounds amazing. So what kind of rig are you fishing for the halibut? Are you doing the twin tail thing, or what are you doing?
No, we're fishing bait almost exclusively. You know, dropper, looper. You know, what I always did was you know, slider, egg slider. I wanted to get into the flasher, you know, the Moochie rig, and start getting into that. But that's more of a 1 or 2 rod fishing trip.
Yeah.
You know? So when we do that, it's called bounce balling. Take the ball and stir up the water and make them a little crazy, but that's something I want to check out too.
Yeah, that's got to be good. So the best time of the year is we're coming up on it now, right?
Yeah.
And then it goes till
It's all year round.
It is.
We literally get fish in the 20s, 30s, and even 40s all year round. And I can show pictures from every month. But if you're going to hone in on a trophy halibut, which is $28 a pound, next month or two is the time.
yeah.
Yeah.
You got to call me when they're biting. I love catching those
Absolutely.
things, man.
Yeah.
I'm such a pro. My biggest halibut in Ensenada, I was on board the Ensenada Clipper many years ago. I got one that was 38. I made a cast with a tatty lure, got a giant bird's nest. So I'm like, oh my God. I got it out and I go, oh great, I'm snagged on the bottom. And I go, oh, it must be kelp or something crap. And I look down, and there's this, you know, I was real expert at that, yeah, right. You know, I got a bird's nest, and the guy gapped it. And I go, oh, thank God.
Well, that's the thing. They sit at the top. And a lot of clients, you got to tell them before you go out, right?
Yeah,
Keep the fish on the top and slide it down the rail into the gaff, because if you try to pull the head out of the water, that fish is up and down. You can't gaff it. Number one. They do this head shake.
Yep.
And 8 out of 10 times that hook goes bye-bye.
Yeah,
It's got the weight of the sardine and whatever. You know.
Is it true, Nathan? It seems to me with halibut, you know, in my deckhand days, that you just want to keep them. They're kind of calm sometimes when they come up. I don't think they realize what's happening.
Sometimes they're not even hooked. A lot of times they're just holding the bait,
Yep.
and then they'll just like leave the bait. So you kind of really calm them down, and like I said, walk down the rail, which is nice.
Right.
You got the full walk around, because if you can get them gliding, even if they spit the bait, you're still in range to get that gaff shot.
Yeah. And so you're fishing what, within 20 minutes or something when you're fishing these
Well,
trips?
we got to go get bait.
Bait, yeah.
You know,
After you get bait.
that, we're 20 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got a bunch of hot spots, but a lot of my guys have a lot of new hot spots, and it's mainly for anyone looking to fish the bay about drop-offs. If you can find where they dredge out for the subs and the carriers, there's a good 10-foot drop right there. So you know where those are with your fish fly, your sonar. You can fish those ledges, and that's where you're going to find the ambush predators, which are the halibut.
Yeah, right.
Take one, and there's another one back the next day or two. I mean, they just really like where they like, you know.
Yeah. Tim Marquez is a great guy. He's out there listening. He's got a question for you. He's caught a couple wahoo last September, never caught a halibut. So he wants to know, how can we get more information on your boats, Nathan? And that is thelongrun.com.
TheLongRunSportFishing.com.
Screwed it up again. We're going to repeat it so many times now that everybody, thelongRunSportFishing.com.
Yep.
Tim, check it out. You guys can check it out now and ask Nathan some more questions. Fire those questions in while we got this guy, because he's going to go away, and then you're not going to get any more questions answered. So the islands, you fish Coronado Islands very much?
Yeah, it depends. You know,
You don't sound thrilled about the Coronado Islands.
well, I
for
mean,
some reason.
this is the only problem. The fish have been so close and so good for the last 8 years.
Talking about the bluefin.
Yeah, and the Dorado and the Yellowtail
So
and everything else.
it's hard to stop there.
It's not even hard to stop. Number one, you got a lot of dogs out there. You
Yeah.
got the seals is more of a problem closer to the islands. Then you got the biosphere bands, and you got the manifest.
I'm starting to get this.
If we start, out 12 miles from the islands, we're legal. We need a license. We don't need the passports. We don't need the biosphere wristbands. We don't need the visas. And it's kind of a nightmare. I'll do it, especially if there's fish on the rock pile. There's yellowtail around the islands and all this. But I've caught a lot of fish at the islands. I have no problem with them. But I also think there's a lot of seals per yellowtail down there. I mean, I've lost as many as I've caught.
Yeah, and it makes sense because now you're not dealing with the passports and you don't have to deal with the sea lions and you got these trophy frickin' bluefin anyway. I get it.
Yeah,
I get it.
And the winter, granted, it's a great place to go, but once the exotics show up and the yellowtail and bluefin are out there and they start mixing with the Dorado and the yellowfin, why?
Yeah, I know.
Get your specs on, find the patties.
Yeah, exactly.
Because no one else has to be on that.
Jason Gilmore, is that drift fishing or fishing on the pick, on the anchor, when you're targeting those flatties?
Drift.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can't drop anchor in the bay. We do most of our big halibut in the bay, and the drift is good. So my recommendation is to fish the incoming tide. That's definitely the best. An hour or two after the bottom, before an hour and two at the top. And the
That's when they're feeding?
The bigger the tide swing, the bigger the catch.
Oh, really?
So there's Halibut Alley, over by the Midway, just there to the carriers. There's some areas dredged out around there. We don't like to give away all our secrets, but that whole area is called Halibut Alley for a reason. And in the incoming tide, you can sit there at the front of it and drift through the whole thing and cover a lot of ground and not have to motor out everywhere and just keep your bait on the bottom. Enough weight and you'll get them.
I'm serious. The guys that are private boaters that are listening to you right now are very grateful to you for sharing that info. Seriously,
Yeah.
that's good stuff.
There's plenty to go around. We're not worried.
Yeah, yeah.
People get concerned. They've seen all the fish we catch and 12 halibut lined up, and I've gotten calls like, "Oh, you're destroying the fishery," and I'm like, "I've seen nothing but improvement on the halibut fishery in the last 15 years, big time.
Yeah.
It's not getting worse."
Who's saying that? Greenies or?
I wouldn't.
I mean, I don't want any names. Is it sport boat guys or is
no,
it?
just some some kids that I've worked with.
They don't know what they're actually.
Well, they're just very protective of their fish.
Yeah, I get it. I guess I get it. Scott Grant. Scott, I'm sorry I yelled at you, by the way, a second ago. No, I'm not. Reviewed your website. Parking for an overnight, Newport Landing, dollars, 22nd Street, best ever. Where do you park? I think he's asking to get on your rigs. Where are you?
We're at Sun Road,
Yeah.
Safe Harbor now. It's called Safe Harbor Sun Road because they took over a bunch of them. But it's Harbor Island, 955 Harbor Island Drive. We have parking. It's paid parking. But yeah, it's a secure lot and it's worth it for the $10 or $12.
Yeah.
So
because everything's good and you don't have to worry about it.
There's always a spot and you don't have to tote your shit for 30 minutes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You're nice and close.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you just, what time do you leave? Tell me the hours of the halibut. I'm intrigued by this halibut stuff.
Like I said, the tide is important.
Oh, so you try to work around that?
Everything, but when people call in, they book a trip and they got 2 or 3 dates, or should I do the afternoon or the morning? And most people want to go in the morning. But I'm going to say, look, I can look at my tide chart. I can tell you when I think is the best time, and I customize it because I want them to catch fish.
I love that, Nathan.
If they catch fish, they're going to give us good reviews. They're going to be back, and we're going to look better.
Yeah, I love that because everybody else is pretty much here. We leave at 6 a.m. and we're back.
They want to pack in as many as possible. I want to pack in as many good trips as possible,
sure,
so that they're return customers.
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds great. So you work it around. You customize every trip. You can't, and with a guy that says I still want to go in the morning, you can't change that.
No, exactly.
Right.
Most people will, but if they say, I get that question third of the time, is it better to go in the afternoon? Why are you off on an afternoon trip? Isn't it always better in the morning? No, it's not.
Yeah.
If you're offshore, I think the slack tide sometimes better, this and that. And I don't predict a lot of the moon charts and this and that because you will lose yourself and all that. But from what I've seen, and it's pretty well substantiated, that's the time to fish the bay. Yeah,
well, I do a lot of surf fishing, and there is something magical about sunrise, but most of the time I'm like, I'm not even going out there till noon today because the tide's not right.
Yeah.
And then you go out there at noon and you get bit.
What do you like on the surf fishing with regard to the tide?
I fish that 4-hour window pretty much, right before the incoming and 2 hours before to 2 hours after when it's going out. So I give it 4 hours.
So you like the slack area best? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. It kind of seems to swap from inside to outside,
exactly.
From my experience. Yeah.
Exactly. Scott says, no worries, Phil, it's all, he doesn't know I'm kidding. Scott, I really didn't yell at you. I'm not apologizing either. Scott's nuts tonight. Hey, Scott, for an attorney, that question you wrote was pretty bizarre. Just kidding. I'm giving Scott way too much trouble tonight. And look,
He likes
God just knocked my microphone off for making fun of Scott. He got me. Yeah, the halibut thing, man, that's just so intriguing. That sounds so great. So now, we've covered the islands, we've covered offshore. Do you ever go down the Baja coast and fish the coast, or again, is that, I'm talking right on the coast, you got to deal with passports and all
Yeah,
that.
I mean, we do. You know, when the sand bass and the barracuda used to just go crazy down, you know, at the tanks. And
Does that
was-
happen anymore?
It's you know, it's not
Not
so
really,
much,
right?
Not so much anymore. I mean, there have been some sand bass recently.
You're talking about Tijuana Flats
Yeah,
and
yeah.
off the Bull Ring.
Yeah, and then the tanks up at the Point Loma area
Yeah.
and that kind of stuff. But there was some sand bass being caught down there, but it used to be crazy. And they'd get 100 people on some of these cattle boats.
Oh, I
and-
remember.
And I mean, it was just, you know, shoulder to shoulder. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, people are taking home a bunch of fish. And it's,
Yeah.
and it's fun. But no, when I go down to Baja, I want to get offshore. You know, typically I want to go, you know, outside the 12 and fish the, you know, the triangle, the 425, 371, 302 triangle. And that's kind of a go-to.
Yeah.
You know, but then if we're going down to the upper hidden or, you know, wherever the currents are. So we look at the tip breaks, tipbreak.com, and fish dope, and we've got pretty good intel with other skippers that are on the commercial boats. And you know, my guys have been around for a while, so we got some good insight.
You could probably get to San Martin Island in less than 4 hours on that fast bow, right?
Yeah.
You ever go down that far?
No,
That's a long haul.
no. I mean, we like I said, I've been down 60 straight, but I don't want to be caught in a, you know. I mean, it's a twin screw. They're 250s now. I just repowered and upped them from 225, so we get 500 horse. It boogies, but you know, you just don't want to be caught down there that far.
Yeah.
You know, unless you're watching the weather.
Yeah.
Just because it's wet.
Yeah.
You know, it's gonna be a wet ride.
Joe said, "Stop this nonsense about the Baja coast. I want more on the halibut." So, what more
Yeah.
can we talk about? So what's a trip cost to fish inside the bay?
So it's 175 a head,
Uh-huh.
6 people. You know, 1050, 1050, and
That's very reasonable.
it's pretty reasonable. And you know, we're showing you not only like a good day, but what fish are and how to fish them. And like I'm telling people right now, this isn't a secret. You know, it's stuff that can be learned. I learn from everyone that comes on my boat with a little experience. I'm always willing to keep an open mind, and the people that are willing to say, okay, well, what do you do now? I'm an open book. So I want to teach people and figure out.
So,
how
like
they
a
can-
private boater that comes out and wants to learn from you, you're not going to say, "I don't want you having my spot." You're
Yeah,
gonna,
man, I tell everyone because they tell me. Everyone wants to talk. That's what we do. We like to talk about fishing. When the buddy board was going around, I'm sure you remember that
Yeah.
before the 976 tuna and 976 bite and all that. That's where we got a lot of our communication, and
Yeah.
that's where we worked as a community to find the fish and to function. We didn't have all the technology that we do now, but that was a pretty open forum on sharing like information, you know. So it was a good thing to do ride shares, and of course those are a no anymore.
Yeah,
which
right.
which is great for me because I'm running a business. But back then it wasn't a concern. People would take down $100 and take them out overnight
yeah,
per
yeah,
person, $100
yeah,
for
yeah.
a 24-hour trip
Wow.
catching tuna. Yeah,
That's amazing.
and that's fishing a couple of 200 Chrysler engines too.
Yeah.
So, you know, there wasn't a lot of like bang for the buck. But it's all I wanted to do.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I wanted.
You're
to
totally
do.
into it, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, I did it for so many years that, you know, I'm raising kids now. I've got the architecture thing going down in Mexico now and some projects up here. So I'm diversifying, but I like to stay around home and then take my family out, my friends out, fish with a couple of friends I guide them, you know, as a guide. I run their boats and, you know, they pay me and I get to fish and, you know, that's a good deal
Perfect,
too.
right?
Yeah, it works out great.
You're doing some stuff across the border in orphanages now, right?
Yeah, I just met with someone last week. Old friend of mine, Dave Steele, asked me or posted on Facebook that he was doing an orphanage and Echo Lodge down in Mexico. So I inquired about it, and he said, "Wow, it's really weird that you'd mentioned that. We've got a guy, Amar, that's just called 2 hours ago to fund this project." So I met with them, did a Zoom meeting last week, and they've just built a house for a family of 6. And they didn't have anything. I mean, it's going from literally living in dirt to having a 2-bedroom house, and
Yeah.
they're just ecstatic. And the stories, I can't get into them, you know, because it's pretty graphic. But the stuff they've been through
No, horrible.
compared to where they get a home to live in now. They went and filled their freezers and their refrigerators and bought them plates and chairs and furniture, and you know, and this whole project's like 14, 15 grand. Where here you're looking at
No.
A couple hundred.
Yeah, right.
So they can build for dirt cheap. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to oversee the project. Now we're doing 15 kids with the orphanage and a lot of babies and a lot of, caretaking and that kind of stuff. So it's got to be, designed in a way that's sustainable, that it's going to be cost efficient moving forward.
Yeah.
A lot of what I've done down there is CMU block, and it lasts 400 or 500 years with the curvilinear stuff rather than 80 years. So that's going to be my contribution to it.
Great. My goal tonight, by the way, is to have more people watching this show than the State of the Union address.
Yeah, right.
This is the State of the Fish address.
That's right.
You tell me what's more important, the union or the
Much better.
fish?
What's your priorities?
Right,
Happiness?
exactly. Exactly. Fluorocarbon on the halibut, yes or no? I'm going to ask a couple questions and we got some more
I
coming
like
in.
fluorocarbon, but I also I've found out that fluorocarbon needs to be retied after you catch a big fish, or it loses about half its tensile strength.
Uh-huh.
So it's very abrasion resistant. It's great, but if you do get a big fish on there, even a couple of fish, you have some good battles to retie it. That's my recommendation.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Setting the hook on a halibut, excuse me, do they get on the bait right away? I'm choking to that.
No, they don't. They're one of those, like I said, they come up with the bait in their mouth sometimes.
Yeah.
Even bigger fish, and they'll have the last inch of the tail in their mouth. So
Yeah.
a lot of times I'll wait usually about an inch per second on the hook set, and I don't really hook set. I use circle hooks. So before I start grinding down on a 6-inch sardine, I'll wait about 6 inches before I'll start
6
grinding
seconds?
down 6
Yeah.
seconds.
Yeah.
And if I don't have tension, I don't pull
Stop.
back.
You stop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
'cause if I do this, he's going to go, what was
Right,
that?
right.
So it's when you get that tension and then it finds its way into the corner of the
You
mouth.
feel 'em
You're
loading
not,
up.
you're not dealing with the abrasion. They got big teeth.
Yeah.
These
Hell
30,
yeah.
40 pounders are like dog teeth,
Oh my
so-
God. I've seen some guys get their thumbs really, like they're gonna,
Yeah.
and I'm
They're
like,
gonna lip
dude,
'em.
you realize those freaking
I've
halibut,
seen it before.
they're worse than,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
lose a finger to those things.
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah, they're brutal.
they're brutal. Fish guy, do you match the hook size to the bait, and what is your preferred hook style type? So it sounds like,
I do match the hook size to the bait. I don't think the fish has that much to do with it. The
Yeah.
hook thickness, however, does. If you're fishing, big tuna, you have small baits, you need a thicker owner or something like that. But you don't want to fish wire hooks with these. But yes, match the hook to the bait size.
okay, very good.
And then the chrome for anchovies and just standard for whatever. But if you're going fishing for big fish, don't nothing against Mustad. They've got some high end laser points. Go with the dollar a hook.
Yeah,
It's $1.
yeah.
Your trip costs you $1,000. You
Yeah.
lose that one.
So are
trophy
you
fish.
recommending any particular hook?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I like owners
Yeah.
for big tuna.
Yeah.
I think anything laser point. If you're fishing in the bay and you're not going for real big fish, just spend the money on the good hooks. We do.
Yeah.
Not always, but bring the good stuff, and you're going to lose less fish. And I like circle hooks. Especially for toothy fish.
So that price that you gave for that seems very reasonable. And that includes your gear?
Include your gear.
That's a very reasonable. And you got her cooking
We got
some
her-
really good
yeah, we
food?
got-
Cook on the boat.
Oh, what do you? Oh, that's right. You're a deckhand.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I think I'm doing like I'm
I
guilty of. What do you call that? Gender or something or other.
Oh,
You're a woman,
no.
so you must be cooking.
No.
I'm sorry. I
No,
didn't.
that's okay.
Please forgive me in this
Toxic
world.
masculinity,
Yeah,
right?
there's my
I can't
toxic masculinity again.
I do miss cooking those boat burgers.
Yeah, man, I had some good ones last night on a lobster trip.
Bet you
Yeah,
did.
Eric, good job, man. Those were good. Let me tell you. All right, you're getting fans here, man.
Good.
They are loving you. So obviously, my people out there have no taste at all. Just kidding. Nathan, this guy says to a kid. Nathan, I like your approach to sharing info. This is very rare nowadays. I like your style. Looking forward to booking a trip with you really, really soon.
Good.
All right.
Good,
Yeah,
like
I
that.
like it too.
Yeah.
I'm a
mention the show.
Well, we're
Yeah,
a community.
right.
When people have graduated from our boat to go to other boats, I keep in touch with them. Typically, I'm on very good terms with them. Some people don't, have that philosophy, but I want to share fishing information. I want to share in their accolades. I want to give them their hours for the captain's license. I want to make sure that we're a community. Like I said, it used to be with a buddy board. Then it turned into this, radio fish, and people are lying about stuff and getting me to waste a bunch of gas. And we as anglers aren't going to take the school of 30 tons of bluefin down to nothing before that guy gets there.
Yeah.
It's sharing information that makes other people win. And makes it a good experience for everybody. And then we create bonds and relationships, and then we know each other on the radio, and that's how it's supposed to be,
I like these guys that like hit a kelp for, a whole bunch of Dorado, and then you say to them, hey, where were you? No, I'm not gonna, that freaking kelp is not still right there where you got.
Right.
What are you talking about? I just,
Let's
where's
say-
it the
let's say
east end
put
of
the-
Catalina or, it's like,
Yeah.
You need a beaker on it.
This is done.
I'm just
bro.
being curious, I don't want the exact, and that GPS is no good anyway. That kelp's, somewhere else at this point. It's funny, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, people get really proprietary about all that. Victor at Blackfin Sword Fishing out on Punta Banda. He is such a great guy. Let me tell you, he did a whole thing with the orphans down there, Nathan. And I just attended. We brought some clothes down there, but him and especially his wife, did so much stuff. And that's the same orphanage I told you I visited in the Valle de Guadalupe a week ago or so. And Victor, he said, let's get you down there to one of these events. And we're talking about April 30th is Dia de los Niños in Mexico, Day of the Children, Children's Day
okay.
would be. We're going to go to that orphanage, maybe, Victor, right? And we're going to do a carne asada barbecue and maybe some more stuff too.
Yeah.
And so maybe you guys could join us. I'm
Well,
definitely going to
that's
go.
right where the orphanage I'm working on is.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the same
probably the same.
community but apparently the foundation's laid already. I'll find out a little bit more about it and be in touch. But I'd love to.
Yeah, there you go, Victor. You can
right.
count on us. We'll be there. And Victor, you and your wife are doing such great work. I'm so proud to call you a friend. I'm sincerely mean that. Good stuff. Scott Grant, Jolene, when did you realize that you loved fishing, and how do you recommend fishermen's daughters to try it?
Okay, well, I come from a fishy family, on both sides, my mom and dad and, grandparents, and started fishing, farting around with my brother in like 1965 at Oceanside Harbor because my grandparents had a boat, my parents had a boat, and we just had a lot of fun growing up. And then my dad worked on a private boat, and my brother got to go all the time because I got seasick. So I didn't get to go, and he did. So I really started getting into fishing when I was 21 years old. And I met Mark Arnos from the Pacific Voyager.
Yeah, good fisherman.
He was driving the Electra at the time, and I was fishing on the bait dock for some reason. And he said, get on the boat. And so ever since
You're like,
then,
okay.
I just started fishing on a boat like that, brand new boat. And then we had El Nino and started doing my own charters, and been fishing ever since.
There it is.
And your question about getting your
Getting-
daughters to go or girls, or I would just say look at the weather and just take them on like a half-day trip.
One of those
Or-
big halibut
excuse
trips.
me,
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
Real stable
one of-
platform. I started taking my 7 and 9-year-olds when they were 3, 2, and 4,
That's like me.
something like that.
Same thing.
My dad had a bass pond, and I was, walking the dog with Zara Spooks, and these kids, like this, catching,
Yeah.
2, 3, 4 pound bass.
Yeah,
So
right.
They just loved it. And then that, my dad got rid of that place in Palm Springs because it was all, ponds and that were stocked with these fish. So we started hitting the pier, and catching mackerel. They just get a kick out of it,
Yeah.
So then getting them on the boat was like second nature to them.
Right. They wanted to do it, right?
They want to do it, and they get so excited when you get anything. I mean, we get catching little halibut and little barracuda and stuff like that, but there's some bigger fish, especially even a smooth hound. Oh, I caught a shark.
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah. Kids love that,
Yeah,
right?
anything.
Yeah. We had a horn shark last night, and Charlie, he's a kid, but his dad has him everywhere. But he was still, oh, that's a cool shark. And then he got to release it. And
Yeah.
so really, kids on the water fishing, God, it opens so many doors. I mean, it can open a door to marine biology, it can open a door to a job on the docks. It just, I don't know what your theory is about raising kids, but my theory was I'm just going to throw as much stuff at these kids because my parents did. My mom had me playing piano. That lasted like a week. I'm like, Mom, seriously, I want to play baseball. This sucks. I hate this crap. You're going to, but, she wanted to throw everything she could at me to see what I was good at or what I liked.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I wasn't that good at anything, but I liked a lot of stuff like baseball. And so it was great. So it sounds like that's what you just, want to see what your kids
I do
like.
a ton of stuff like that. And I mean, they're into, geckos, and they're into
Yeah.
sharks, and they're into dinosaurs, all the shit that I was into, right? But now it's, you know, they like to snorkel with me. We go down to Cabo, and there's some really Santa Maria Beach, and there's areas that I can literally grab them at 7 and 9 and snorkel with me and point out the fish. I got a reef tank, so I point out.
That is bitching.
And they just love it. You know, they talk
Yeah.
about it all the time. They're super stoked that they get to identify these things and know what the name of that one is. We've got these full head masks so they can hear me and I can hear them talking underwater.
How cool is
And
that,
it's-
Nathan?
And it's pretty neat, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting girls involved too. All you gotta do is introduce them to Jolene. My God,
Yeah.
she's all over it.
Yeah.
Should I hang my head in shame because I think Javier Lopez is right. He's calling me chauvinistic.
Oh,
Javier, I plead guilty tonight.
Yeah,
2
you're-
times I said, "How are your hamburgers?"
You
And
owe me dinner.
Jolene looked at me and said, "I'm not a galley cock." And so I've been working a lot, Jolene.
I know you
He's hungry.
I'm gonna, hit the like button, please, before I start crying.
Halt.
Yeah, really. Let's see. Joe says, great show. Fish Guy says, great show. And guests, thank you so much. And this is funny, too, because he says, hey, Phil, it's Tuna Kid. Because it says Tuna Kid there, but I wasn't smart enough to figure it out. Tuna Kid, I'm sorry. Thank you so much.
Kid.
You're very gentle about that, and I appreciate that. You could have said, hey, you dummy, it's Tuna Kid, but thank you so much. Hey, Nathan, put a plug in for Captain Ross, LOL.
He must not have been here when I did plug him, but yeah, Ross has been with me about 15 years, and he's a good man. He's always making the clients happy. 5-star captain all the time.
Yeah.
Love him to death. You know, he's a good dude and knows how to fish.
So obviously you got these 2 boats, so if a person books, they may not be fishing with you. Can they request you? I mean, people are falling in love with you here now.
Yeah,
You have a girlfriend, right? You better make that clear. 'Cause
I
you
do.
have
I do.
People falling in love with you
I
on
do.
this show.
April Reisenfeld. My guy's Mike Nesbitt. He's been doing it 35 years in Hawaii, and Ross has been with me for 15, and I know he's fished probably 35, 40 years other than that. You know?
Yeah.
So these guys are great with the clients, and they're top notch, you know. And so we've got a great deckhand now. He's 15. His name's Kai. Busts his ass. Never asks questions. You know, is always polite and just, you know. I've had people in the past, no matter how experienced, where they'll get a client that loses a fish and like, oh God, you know, and complain, and I'm like, you should have kept your line, and you should have, and I'm like, no, man. They paid for this trip. They don't want to feel worse about losing a fish they already lost.
Right.
We go, hey, let's get another one out there. So we will hook in hand, you know, and Kai will do that. Sometimes we'll get on Witchy Woman and we'll take the Stella and the long, popper, and we'll get on top of there and deckhand will, we'll run down fish, the run and gun thing with that fast boat. We'll see the bluefin all over the surface, and we can get in front of them real easy and cast that, and hand it down to the client.
Oh, cool.
Do it again.
How bitchin' is that?
Yeah,
and that's fun for you guys too, right?
Oh, it's great. And
Yeah.
and these reels now, these spinning reels, I mean, they always called them coffee grinders back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
They're made for 300-pound fish.
Yeah, they got 40 pounds of drag, right?
Yeah, it's insane.
That's pretty- yeah.
Penn's got a new one I just bought. I haven't caught anything with it yet, but it's like the Stella. They're doing some incredible stuff with them. So
All right, do any of you guys recall a female captain that ran Twilight Sand Bass trips out of Long Beach in 1991? I do. I talked to her today, as a matter of fact. Her name is Lori Savino. And Lori is in Baja right now, and Lori's birthday is tomorrow. So there you go. Not only do I know her, I know it's her birthday tomorrow, and she's going to be, yeah, really, that's small world. So she's going to be surf fishing with Frank Savino, and they were married for many, many years, and they're going to go down to Playa Bebe, which is in Rosarito, and catch some perch and some other stuff. But yeah, her name was Lori Savino. She's still doing well. If you want to see her catching a big bluefin tuna, just look in our archives, and there's a trip called Legends of Sport Fishing on the Freedom, and you can see her there. She did really well. She's a good friend and a lovely person. Jolene has photos of her and her brother catching.
Oh yeah, we got photos.
You got tons of photos,
yeah, we got
right?
Tons of photos, yeah.
By the way, you on the Relentless, you've been on a bunch of our trips.
Yeah.
You are such an outstanding fisherman. And you make great hamburgers too.
Stop
I'm going to
it.
get canceled. You know, is there?
This is it. We're
I might get
done.
canceled.
half of your show right there.
No.
Hey, you know what? But before I go into that a little further, I put a photo up of these guys on the Freedom. You guys who follow me, holding halibut, right? And then the next morning, I look and Facebook says, any incitement of violence will get you taken down. Blah, 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 blah. This is your first warning.
What?
So I go, what kind of T-shirts were these morons wearing? You know, I'm figuring, I go back and there's nothing there.
Violence to
Was
the
it
halibut?
butt?
I have no idea. I go, what the hell did I
You were
write?
asking me? I don't.
Yeah. So I wrote like, Busman's Holiday. These 3 guys from the Freedom, and they went out on a private boat and caught some halibut and sand bass. And I'm going, I still don't get it. But you know what's, I mean, on a serious level, you use these platforms to promote business and stuff. You work your fingers to the bone like you do, and I, working all the time. And then they have the power to take a photo of a guy holding a halibut and
Yeah.
tell you that. And I'm like,
sensitive content.
oh my God, I still haven't figured that out. Back to you. Those trips, you're not only such an outstanding fisherman, but you're great with everybody. And you're like Nathan in that you share info, you help people. I love that about you.
Yeah, it's fun. It's enjoyable. It's just my nature, I guess. You know.
That Relentless trip was a lot of fun too.
Oh yeah, that was a great trip.
Yeah.
You know, we were fishing out at Cortez, or where were we fishing?
We were,
San Clemente.
yeah, we were fishing Clemente. Yeah.
And nothing was going on during the day. All
Right.
looking,
You
looking.
got yours in the daytime though, right
I got
when the
mine
sun was
right
setting.
before the sundown
Yeah,
on a sinker rig,
yeah,
and I was excited to get hooked up.
yeah.
That was my first sinker rig fish.
Oh, nice.
And,
Yeah.
and
Now-
Joe caught the first fish, and
That's Joe
Now,
Martinez.
did you put a leader in front of the sinker with a split, or just straight to the hook?
oh no, rubber band.
Oh, rubber
Rig,
band.
yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Okay.
By the way, Joe Martinez.
Hey,
Thank
Joe
you,
Martinez.
Joe. He brought this
Oh,
and
yeah?
left it for me here today.
right.
Love you,
Don't-
Joe.
Don't
I got a
lose
hat
it.
like that.
No, I know. I like that, man. I lost my other U.S. flag thing, so yeah, great stuff. So, all right, let's go back. Scott Grant says, Stella, did you say something about spinning reels? Obviously, like Stella's, right?
Yeah.
Are you in there with
Yeah,
that?
I'm in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a deckhand Aussie kid came out, and he was fishing a Stella that was about, I don't know, medium large, nothing crazy, and he was trolling with it for marlin and tuna and the stuff. And I'm like, what are you doing? You know?
Yeah.
And he's all, no, this can end all day long. He's fishing that for the troll, for the live bait, for the
Works fine.
jigs, everything. I mean, so if you want to buy one rod and not carry a bunch of stuff around, everyone's like, yeah, you got to have a 20, a 30, a 40, and a 60-pound rig. I mean, these are an option, and I know they're not cheap, but I don't like, personally, I'm carrying stuff down to other people's boats when I'm doing guides.
Yeah.
When it's on my boat, I have, 80 rods down there. And
Oh, you do?
Way too
Yeah.
many.
Wow.
Way too many. You should see my house. But I don't want to carry all that shit every time.
Yeah,
So,
right.
And this is a real eye opener for me to be able to catch 200 and 300 pound fish on these spinning reels.
Yeah, well, I don't think
And
anybody.
you can cast them, and
Yeah,
everyone
right.
else is trying to fly line and long rods. and this and this.
casting
You
way
can-
further.
You can get this thing out, with
And
some fluoro, and
You're going to get bite.
you're going to get a bite.
Yeah, yeah.
First one, furthest one.
I don't think anybody listening right now is feeling bad about having 80 rods on the. I mean,
No,
talk
I
about.
mean, I'm that guy too, but it's if you like the carrying down an ice chest and a rod rather than
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, I hear you.
putting all your crap together that night. And if you get all night to do this and you love doing it, do it. But that's the alternative.
Robert says, you're the best, Nathan. Chelo Fisher says, the customer is always right. Remember? Yes, that's right. Pretty much, right? David Thomas, JoJo is an awesome water woman and angler par excellence.
Hi, David.
You know David?
Oh yeah, he's a good friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, we fish together.
Awesome. That's great. Thanks for joining us, David. Appreciate it. Fish Guy. My 21st birthday, my brother-in-law and friend surprised me with a twilight trip, and every time I got bait, she would hand me a beer and tell me to slam it. So yeah, Lori's a great person. That's great. Frank Chapman, we were out the same day. I hooked 8 of those big ones. You know Frank Chapman? Is he talking about halibut or?
I don't.
Sometimes I
No,
get.
that was bluefin.
Oh, bluefin.
That's
Oh.
my brother.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Glory, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, he was out that same day.
Yeah,
Frank.
we were all around each other.
Frank, good to see you, man. Thanks for joining us. Scott Grant, Pen Authority? Question mark.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love pen.
Uh huh.
Yeah, pen's
Fab
been
apps.
my go-to, and I like the battles for boat rods. The spinning rods are good quality. You know, I've had a ton of them, but I think Penn's great with their 2 speeds, and I've always had that as kind of my cornerstone for my big trolling gear. You know.
Yeah, Penn kind of at some point seemed to they seem to be more aggressive now, and they're getting back. Or do you sense that?
I do.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, Dia has always been my go-to for boat rods for the conventionals, you know, the sea lines and now the sea gates, and they're great. They last forever. They cast real well. They fly a line. They can handle some big fish. You know, back in the day we fished the newels so that we can get that bait way out there. But I've blown a couple of those up on bluefin, and you know they're not around anymore. But those were great reels too.
Yeah.
You know? But I mean, for me, I moved into the Calcutta, you know, thing, and I was fishing the 200, the little silver reel on a bluefin trip with Byron. It was on the Sweet Machine, I think in early 90s. And we had, you know, all you wanted albacore, big ones up to 35, 40.
Yeah.
And then the bluefin were even excess of that, a couple of them. So I was the only one that got the bluefin because I was fishing 12-pound tests. And I got 2 of them in the boat, believe it or not, with that little reel. You know, the drags are so smooth. And, you know, I got these bluefin, no other bluefin were caught.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So it's just it's a light line thing. Sometimes those bluefin are smarter than we think.
Yeah, exactly. Joe wants to know if I ever found my flag coffee cup. Joe, I did, and this is not it. I don't know what happened to it. I went to Mexico and I came back. Somebody threw it out or did something with it. I don't know what the deal is. But I was telling Jolene, we have new morning briefing coffee cups coming, and I think they're in tomorrow. So I'm going to be using one of those, and you'll be able to get that merch from us here really soon. But thank you so much for asking, Joe. Matthew Diamond, what boats do you have? So some guys are coming in the middle. Go ahead and tell everybody, give the website again.
Yeah, the long run is the 40-foot trawler. It's a bell buoy, Hershine, and that one is it's a great platform. A lot of room, extended cockpit. We got 4-scoop bait tank. We got side scan radar this year. We put about 85 grand into it for a refit, you know, because I'd run it for 25 years. So we really overdid it this year, and we're happy with the bow, being able to fish, you know, many people on that boat comfortably at the same time, and not too many hooks and faces and things like that. We don't have that occurrence because there's so much room to cast.
Yeah.
In the back and in the front.
Yeah.
You know, so that's great. And then Witchy Woman is a fast boat. We finally decided 4 years ago to get a Chris Craft Scorpion, which is a 31-foot with 500 horsepower, and it boogies. So
yeah.
That one's just real smooth. It's an 8-foot beam, but it's a full walk around. There's tons of rail, more than most 40-foot sport fishers in the cockpit. So we can get 6 people on that boat. Offshore we like 4 or 5, but if we're in the bay, whatever, we got plenty of room to fish 6 people, and it's a killer boat.
Man.
Move. And it's fun, It's fun to go there.
I'm coming down fish the bay with you. I'm going to put something together with all these guys and come down and fish that halibut with you.
Absolutely.
That sounds so much fun.
I got a GoPro too, so we can do some underwater and filming if we get
cool.
offshore and get it well documented.
Yeah, I'll be all over it. Actually, I don't fish that much anymore. I shoot video.
So bring a fishing rod.
You know what? I turned into that guy too. I like putting people on fish almost more.
And then creating a memory for them.
Yeah, because it's kids, and it's I looking back, thought that was the best thing I'd ever done in my life. Like it was the most resonant memory that I've ever had. So why not give that to other people?
Well, you in that big battle with that bluefin tuna, if I would have been on a fish, that wouldn't exist. So, I just feel like that's the way to go. Let's see. What's your opinion on gyros? Worth it? If so, what brand and power? Gyros make or break you, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, I've got them, but I don't.
That's Tuna Kid, by the way. Thanks, Tuna Kid.
Yeah. I use them and I like them a lot because I got introduced to them. A mechanic of mine had them, and he got on top of Witchy Woman, and he put, I don't know, I think it was a $2,000 or $3,000 pair. He had them upgraded. I don't know how you do that, but he was spotting, no kidding, diving birds from about 1.5 miles away.
I know.
No, they're still there. And I'm doing 35, 40 knots. Really?
Like you're not buying it, right?
I'm not buying it. We finally get there, and they're there.
Yeah.
So I mean, I got a pair, but mine are $600-800, and it's not a, that high end of a pair. But when you're on the water and you're looking through binoculars all day, to not have that stabilization, it's undoable for me.
Yeah.
I've got to have them.
Yeah. And do you find they make or break you some days? Some days do you say to yourself, man, thank God.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, when I'm offshore, I like to use them for sure. But
Yeah. All right, Fish Guy, what is your standard boat rod and reel on your charters that the customers and clients use? Is there a standard? I guess it would depend upon what you're fishing for.
it depends
obviously.
on what we're fishing. We've got a lot of inshore spinning, like the pin battles, and bait runners were a big one for us, but we found that those weren't holding up as well. But yeah, we do a lot of spinning inshore, and then like the Daiwa Sea Line used to be, and now I've moved into the Sea Gates. I think those are the best bang for your buck.
Yeah.
They're just good reels. They hold up well, they cast well, they have good drag systems, and they're easy to manipulate with the star drags rather than people getting on the. I love the Saltus. These are my go-to for the bigger fish. You got a 2-speed. I've got 5 or 6 of those on some new custom rods, and I love them. We've got some close to 100-pound bluefin on those small ones, but it's the 2-speed that really makes the difference in that I think.
Charles Zimmer, what a great guy. Let me tell you, Charles, his sister Michelle, his son Charlie were all out on a lobster trip with us last night, and they're great guys. He says he knows a guy with a drone, so he's great. So he comes.
That's cool.
He's kind of like into the same thing, and he's loves doing the drone thing. He came out and shot some drone footage for us. So it was awesome. So we'll bring you along for sure, Chuck. There's no doubt about that. And he wants to know. So it's worth reiterating. You're out of the San Diego area, right?
Yeah, San Diego Bay. We're out of Sun Road, Safe Harbor, 955 Harbor Island Drive. It's right by the airport, right across from the airport.
Greg Bates, you know that guy? You know Greg?
Yeah, hi Greg, how's it going?
Greg says Jolene walks on a boat and the odds just change. She holds her own with anyone on the boat. I have observed her fish. She truly knows her stuff. That is true. And man, she makes one hell of a hamburger. Let me tell you. Oops, sorry about that. Here I go again.
Next time we're fishing on a boat, I'm gonna go make you one.
Calm down. Probably delicious, right?
I miss that.
You're gonna kill me, aren't you?
On a boat.
Don't do it. Wait till the camera's on. Don't kill me on camera. Yeah, thank you. Let's see. Mono versus braid. Top shot. Scott Grant wants to know.
I like some mono on the top shot. I don't like casting braid. I think a lot of people, especially on the charters that aren't real experienced, will backlash, and then you're stuck with a situation that you just can't get out. So I tend to put 20, 30 yards of top shot of mono on there because I like the stretch. Like I said, I like the pink Andy because I think it disappears fast. And, I'm a big fan of fishing fluoro too. If you're fishing the bigger fish and you're dropping a fish in the water, you got a trolling rod, and you're trying to go for 100-pound bluefin. I don't think you need that. You want that abrasion resistance. But again, changing that fluoro out after every big fish is a big plus.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it does degrade it with one big fish. Yeah.
So all these people that are booking with Nathan tonight, are they supposed to mention Friedman Adventures or something?
Yes,
Or what do they get? What do they get? A free hamburger from you? Or?
Sure.
They get $100 off by mentioning the.
Oh my goodness!
Wow,
there you
nice.
go. $100 savings for you,
Off a
Dan
six-pack.
Bates. $5.
She's
Thank you.
got her own cards now, so she can hand
Yeah.
those out and get the $100 discount as well.
I didn't know that. $100 discount, everybody. Come on,
You
call
forgot someone commented on
Oh.
Mimi is a good fisher.
Scott
girl.
Buchert. Scott Buchert, yeah, Mimi
Mimi's
fam.
great.
Oh, you know Mimi,
Oh
right?
yeah, we fish all the time.
Yeah, Scott, you're absolutely right. And Mimi's a lovely person.
Mimi works at Point Loma Sports Fishing
Yes.
office.
Her boyfriend is Sean Hardigan.
Yeah,
He runs
Sean,
the Mission
yeah,
Bell.
He's great.
Yeah, he is too. And they room with Scott Buchert. So
I feel sorry for them.
yeah, they're going straight to heaven. Both of them.
Scott's so funny. I love him.
Scott, you can take a
Remember
joke,
when
right?
on the relentless trip, I was going down the rail and I had to go over people. Well, Scott just stood there like.
Yeah, I know. And it's funny when I go by him with the camera, and he's just standing there, and everybody else is bit. He's just got this scowl. Like, God darn it, why can't I get bit? Of course,
Scott.
jam the camera right in his face.
Love you, Scott.
Dan Bates just throw us $5, and Dan, we really appreciate it. Thank you so very much. Mark Fish Guy says hello. Phil says hello to all you guys. Matthew Diamond too. Keep those questions coming and hit that like button, everybody. I feel you need.
We only got 27 likes.
That's
What
not
is
bad.
that?
I
No,
don't
it
know.
isn't.
Come on, hit that like button. I want to see 35.
I want to see 50.
I want to see 200. I feel you need about as much mono as you can cast when it comes to fishing surface irons. But with live bait, I would probably say 15 to 20 or less.
Yards.
What's your opinion?
Yeah, I think that's about right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That sound right? He says 15 to 20 feet.
Okay.
You're saying yards?
Yeah, just because I don't like the knot to come through at any point and have the backlash, and that's when you get problems.
Yeah.
Because bait can be casted quite a ways if you're 15, 20 feet. That's not enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scott Grant says, come on, Phil, book the charter. Jolene can fish, and I'll work the microwave.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, have you ever made lobster in the microwave? Have you ever done
is it
that?
good?
Yeah,
It's good.
works fine.
Right?
Put it in
No
a
kidding.
Ziploc bag and
Yeah, I made it today. It was
No kidding.
friggin' delicious. I had lobster for breakfast since
Nice.
I was on that trip. Nathan, that is an awesome discount. Thank you so much. Appreciate it too. You know?
Absolutely.
Makes us actually seem
Yeah.
like we've got something going on
Yeah,
here.
we
you
do.
know? Yeah, I know. All of a sudden, this thing is like going. I can't believe it.
We want people happy.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see that, and you seem like a very kind of like calm guy. I'm sure you have your moments, but we all do.
Calmed with age. Yes.
Yeah, right. It happens.
Like a
doesn't
fine
it?
wine without the wine. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you, all three of us have seen a lot of stuff, so we can kind of separate the really big deals in life now from the ones that, it's not that big a
That's
deal.
a
We'll
very good
we'll
point.
get through it.
We talked about this on the way up.
yes,
Yeah,
we did.
You did.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because when you're young, it's the end of the world and blah 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 blah. Now it's like, whatever,
The promises do come true.
Oh, there you go. I know what you're making reference to, and I'm sure a lot of people out there do too. So, are you fishing now? Have you been out lately?
Not real lately. I went a couple of weeks back with Chris Hull on that 50-foot Cabo. And,
Yeah.
I'll go out with him here and there. We've had a real good track record, so he keeps bringing me back. But I just got word that he sold his boat, so I'm not real happy about it.
Oh man.
Beautiful boat, though. I mean,
What was
absolutely
it?
gorgeous. Cabo, 50-foot Cabo.
Ooh, beautiful, huh?
Yeah, real new. I mean, it was built in the last 10 years, I think.
But he's gonna get another. I bet he's gonna get another rig, right?
We just me and the guy Brian Ferguson, who introduced me to him. That's when we get this big bluefin. Brian reeled on that for a sec too. He called me last night and he said, I haven't talked to him, but I think he's going to upgrade, because he upgraded from a Viking that was a little older to this boat that was real nice, and I think the perfect, 6-pack type boat. But if he upgrades, I think he can do it financially. So I'm hoping for a call.
Oh, that'd be great, huh?
Yeah, he's an awesome
When
dude.
is your next trip booked for?
For the long run, we've
the long
got
run.
we've got one on Saturday. We've got a few lined up, but a couple of 12s, a couple of 6s. Nothing overnighter. We're not booking a ton of overnighters yet, but that's gonna.
Yeah, people are waiting, and the weather's
It's
been
cold.
it's
Yeah.
cold, and it's been windy and
Yeah.
rainy, and
So
everything.
prices are still down. That's what we do. Is we.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, and March 31st we go back into the high season prices. So if people want to buy now, they can use them throughout the season. They can book for whenever. So it's a good idea to get your foot in the door when the prices.
Oh,
are
you
a
mean
lot
you can
lower.
buy a July trip now?
That's right,
At a
yeah.
cheaper price?
That's correct.
Oh, come on. That's a
Yeah.
great deal.
Yeah, yeah.
And $100 off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mention Phil.
Yeah. Nathan, don't punch me, please.
You're gonna get busy.
I want to get busy.
Yeah, that's
Shake-
good.
shake
Let's
your hand
get
is
Yeah.
equal to that.
Let's get it busy, because you deserve it, and you're a very likable person. We can see that,
Oh,
that's
thank
for
you.
sure. Worm King Baits, swim baits. Worm King gave us $5
All
tonight.
right.
There we
Do you
go.
know who that is? Yeah. Here they are, Worm King Baits, everybody.
He just
They're coming
He
back.
just gave me a few, and I like these reds for the red tide. These things look awesome.
Hold that up to that little camera there.
Yeah, that's going to be the gold in the red season.
So Worm King, the guy that owns it, goes by the moniker of Fish. Like Madonna, only has one name
Oh,
kind of
okay.
thing. So I have no idea what his real name is. He's told
We
me
don't
like,
need to know, right?
I want to know, yeah. So Fish will be at
The less we know.
Wow, that's pretty
yeah,
cool.
exactly. Fish will be at all the shows. So I think and he maybe Day at the Docks, but definitely PCS and the Bart Hall shows. So I'll be hanging out in his booth once in a while also, because I have no taste at all. So no, Fish a great guy. So yeah, Worm King, man, they used to be the thing.
Yeah.
And
really did.
they work, man. They work great.
Yeah.
So, thank you so much, Fish. Appreciate that. Let's see. Nathan, that's an awesome. Joe says this show just keeps getting better and better. Great job, Phil. Hey, it's not me, Joe. It's these guys. That's who it is. I just know to pick good guests, man.
Yeah,
And
you're the host.
Jolene,
You
you're
know
the
what
one
time it
who
is.
recommended Nathan. When you did, I go, oh, he's going to be great. I
Well,
can't wait.
No, and I
He
appreciate
approached
that.
me this year that he wanted me to network for his business.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, being friends
And
with
you-
Phil, I go, I'm going to talk to
I'm
Phil.
like, hey, this is a good match.
You lost all confidence when she recommended me, right? What? Can't you find anybody better?
No.
Yeah, really. Chuck Zimmer says, sounds like a great boat to find where the first bluefin are at. Wouldn't that be cool, man? We do a Friedman
Would you
Adventures exploratory and
I
go
think
find
it's a good
them.
idea. Yeah, we were
Yeah.
talking about that too. If we could get a little group of fish and us and a couple others to do a little private exploratory once we hear a little bit more about these bluefin
Yeah.
down there. Let's go get them.
I'll
Yeah,
cook.
that'd be fun. Yeah. So, I'll cook.
Just kidding.
Yeah, I know you are.
We're gonna bring burgers cooked already.
Chuck, are you in for this? You're the one suggesting this. Are you in for this? Are you ready to go? Because I'll go, man. I'll be there to shoot a good video.
Right.
Robert says, thank you, Jolene.
You're welcome.
He says, let's
Robert.
go.
Well, Robert
Oh, he
is a
introduced us.
longtime friend, and he told Nathan about myself, and that's how I got on board with the long run and Nathan here
Yeah.
last
So
year.
the long run is the boat that fishes inside the bay.
Yeah, it fishes,
Or outside.
fishes outside. I've done 220 down south, you know, on a 2.5, 3 day. I've got pictures of it. The guys are knee deep in fish. You know, they got limits of Dorado, yellowfin, and yellowtail for all of them for 3 days. This
Yeah.
older group too. These guys are like 65 to 75, and they just were salty and knew what they. I mean, it was rougher than shit. And they got back into the south side of the islands and shacked up, threw the anchor down, and vacuum sealed all of their fish
Really?
all night long.
And they were like, what, how old? 65 to 75?
At least.
That's
I mean,
bitchin'.
the youngest guy was 65 at
Yeah.
least. And these guys
That's
had balls. I mean, it was to the point where they're sitting down on the deck and stuff, you know, catching these fish, but it's just wide open, and they handled themselves like champs, you know.
That's great.
Came back into dock with all their shit sealed up, and
Oh, how
they-
bitchin'
they-
is
they-
that,
they knew
right?
what time it was, yeah.
Yeah, I still, rough weather, I still, I had enough commercial fishing days and everything. Doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah.
In fact, but I mean, it doesn't bother me in terms of like, I can deal with it, but I prefer it to be nice. But
Yeah.
It's a lot of work, you know. It's
It
a lot of
is,
calories
man.
burnt, and I don't mind it either. I don't get seasick,
It's a
but
workout.
when I'm getting a little concerned, and I have been on one occasion,
Yeah.
I had my family out, and we went down about 90 miles for the bluefin, and
got
it was
snotty.
the point where we were, it was the point where we were, standing on the side of the thing, and it's rough. You can't see anything but waves when you're under, and anything but on top. But yeah, I mean those boats are bulletproof. They don't go down.
Fish says he's in for the exploratory trip.
Cool.
There's one.
All right, Fish, you're in.
Charles Zimmer, I'm in. There's two.
Okay.
All right, we're building here. Victor down at Blackfin at Punta Banda, he wants to go scouting. Find those bluefin, so he could run out of.
Buddy
Hey, that talk about. And Victor and
And
I,
that drone wouldn't hurt either.
the drone, but Victor and I have been talking about, and we haven't announced it yet, but we're doing this thing. Him and I were talking in Ensenada about fishermen from Mexico and fishermen from the United States coming together and working together more,
Yeah.
And so that's exactly what he's talking about here. So Victor's in, but he's going to be
Cool.
on his own pond out of there.
No, I've never gotten more information from any skippers, anybody in my life than I have from the captains that work down in Cabo.
Yeah.
Because I spent a couple of years on one of my projects, and I go out constantly with these guys, and they do it, these 55, 65-year-old men have been doing it since they were boys.
Yeah,
And they're doing big game every day, and they do things a little different down there.
yeah,
They're real loose drags, and they're real, sometimes old equipment. They got the faith to let that marlin run till you got 3 wraps left.
no,
And I'm like, how are you doing this?
yeah, and they're doing it right.
No nerves, no nothing. They just,
Yeah.
But the confidence and the experience of those guys is hands down the best I've seen.
It's so exciting to fish with those guys, and
Yeah.
you get that old man of the sea kind of
Yeah, and
vibe out of
big
it.
game every day rather than big game, 5 times a year. Is
Yeah.
a big difference.
It's pretty cool, man. I like that. That's awesome. When is Day at the Docks? It's like March 19th or something like that, I think. You don't know?
It used to be in April, but
It
I know
used
it's-
to be
I
in
know it's-
April.
I know it's moved up. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's in
Someone will-
between the PCS show and the Bart Hall show in Long Beach. Pretty sure that's it. But Jolene's looking it up. She'll have an answer for you. All right, Scott Grant, anywhere to sleep on your boats, or will the corpse be horizontal by the microwave? So let me explain that. We had a guy, Brandon, and he was on the Amigo. For some reason, he couldn't get to sleep in his bunk, so he came out and he laid in the galley and he threw a sheet over him. He looked like a freaking corpse. I thought seriously somebody had died and they threw a sheet and they were gonna, put him down in the fish hole later.
Wait till the helicopter shows up.
So he calls him. You must have
Yeah, we got 6 berths.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right.
March 19th. There you
It's
are.
usually a Sunday, isn't it?
Yeah, March 19th is Day of the Dog. So comfortable
Yeah.
places to sleep.
Yeah, yeah. We got a queen in the back. We got a V berth that sleeps 2, and then we got 2 couches in the salon. So
Greg Bates says he's in for the trip.
All right.
cool.
He was in for the lobster trip last night too and didn't show up. Yeah,
he's
so
got
I don't
to go.
know, Greg. You haven't been showing up to a lot of things lately. Just kidding. Jason Lawler, who did our cooking videos, he was on the trip last night, and so he says, "I'm here," and I said, "Oh, cool, because we're ready to leave." And then no Jason, and he goes, "I'm going to buy some squid. I'll be right down." He was at 22nd Street. I told him it was Dana Wharf, and so I came in here this morning. He said, "Hey, your cook guy was here, and he bought squid, and then he just left." And I go,
Calamari.
Bummer.
yeah, he went home and cooked it, I guess. All right, Robert says Bonda Bank. You ever fished the Bonda Bank? That's a little tight to the beach there, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think
no,
it's like, what, 10 miles or
Yeah.
something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. The
it's
albacore used to get in there, but I don't know. I'm sure those bluefin get on that too.
Yeah, I mean they've been all over the place.
Yeah,
But
right?
it seems like the smaller fish were down in Mexican waters this year. Now when I say smaller, I mean under 100. But then the big guys are out past Clemente and
Yeah.
out in Cortez, and it just seems like where the big guys like to sit outside of there.
Yeah, yeah. Robert says 12.5. Well, what are we talking about with Robert? Does that make any sense to you guys? 12.5?
Robert Brillhart,
Yeah.
12.5.
Sometimes, the question comes so late that I'm not.
12.5 miles.
Oh, we got him there last year on the Pacific Voyager. There you go. Yeah. Mike Trunk says, let's go fishing for blue perch. Mike, that's my go-to joke. So I love it. Scott Buchert would do that for sure. Blue perch,
Do
man.
they eat? I mean, opali, I know they like peas, but blue perch, do they eat anything?
Yeah, they eat squid full speed.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, I mean, when I was a
never
kid,
caught 'em.
so I used to go to, be a pinhead on the boat, and the captain would come down and go, "You don't fish till you fill that trash can with blue perch." And I'm like, okay, shit, 4 hooks, you just like filling it. You got my brother and
good
I.
bait.
No, I think they were taking them to the market,
Oh, okay.
which is illegal. But I haven't mentioned any captains' names, and this is a long time ago.
Yeah,
Pretty sure the
ordinance.
statute of limitations has run
It was
out.
different back then too.
I totally was. I'm like, fill that trash can. And we're like, frickin', we can't fish for bass or
It was
yellows.
a small
or-"
trash can.
Yeah, really. So we did, man. Yeah, he got them there last year, he said. So, do you think this bluefin tuna thing is ready to kick off? Are we on the precipice
I mean,
of Jolene thinks so, but what does she know? She's a
they-
galley cook.
Someone was talking about like 495,000 metric tons, and I think that might have been an exaggeration, but if they're seeing them, they're gonna
What
eat,
about the water
Yeah.
temperature?
and that's
What about the water? I
No,
mean,
they
this
can-
Tanner Bank fish was biting in 57-degree water.
yeah. I mean, that's when the albacore used to show up, But I think bluefin have gotten comfortable around here and staying around here almost year long.
Yeah, yeah,
Like I said, I got that big one in November.
yeah.
a
It's
year and a
incredible.
half ago,
And if we have an El Nino and the water stays warm, like in the fall, we get that El
We
Nino.
might
Who
keep
knows
them all
what?
year.
Yeah, it could be an incredible
I'm
year.
surprised it shut down. In fact, last year it kind of overlapped. I mean, the fish weren't all that far. You're saying they're at 140 now, but we see some fish close.
Yeah.
just over the border.
Maybe it didn't shut down. I mean,
People
maybe
just
it's
don't
just
go
been the
out.
weather and
Yeah,
all of that. Once you break that momentum train,
Right.
it's kind of hard to get people back unless it's a guaranteed deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's where we come in. We go out and do exploratory trips, and I'm all about it, man. we put the first fish on the board, people are going to go, I want to be on that boat.
No, right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we already got 4 guys, so.
Yeah, we might do 2 trips, do a couple of 6-8
Well,
packs.
in 2020 and 2021, the summer of, we had bluefin tuna off of Oceanside,
Oh, yeah.
Carlsbad, 2 miles off the beach.
Yeah.
You know, and they ventured up north. I don't know how far they got up here, but I don't know if that happened this last year.
I'm not sure about that. Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know they were close to Newport and Dana,
Yeah.
real close.
Well, the 9 they were getting some fish
Yeah.
in the 200 to 300s on the
Yeah.
9 for a little bit. It didn't go as long this last year as the year before, and the year before that, they were around for a lot of the year, the big fish. You know, so just sitting out there flying a kite all day doesn't burn a lot of fuel.
Yeah.
You can do exploratory on that.
Yeah, right,
You know,
right.
But yeah.
Do you prefer people bring their own gear, or do you prefer they use your gear? I'm assuming your gear is tip top.
It's tip top, but I mean, people like to bring sometimes
Yeah.
$1,000 rigs out. I've got a bunch of those at home. If people want to, me to really go overboard with the, the high end stuff, or if they want to bring their own, then we're open to both of it. Tons of room on the boat. We've got a fly bridge that holds 15 people probably.
Yeah.
If you wanted to get them up there, so
Cool.
we got tons of storage.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Victor at Blackfin. By the way, everybody, I highly recommend if you're in Ensenada, you fish with my friend Victor at Blackfin Sport Fishing. I have done it many times. Not only are you going to have a really great experience, but when you get in, you watch the guys clean your fish, and they put out a sashimi plate for you. And more importantly, the work that him and his wife are doing with the orphanages just sold me on him. But he says that last year they got their first bluefin tuna on the 500 in 57-degree water.
Ooh,
So
wow.
there you are.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, I mean, that says a lot. Doug Rubin says he has a boat called the El Sueño. Good guy. Hey, Doug, what's happening? He says, white sea bass alert.
Oh, that's what I
So are you hoping for white sea bass, or do you have some intel for us, Doug? Because this guy's spilling his guts. He's telling everybody where the fish are. So don't you dare come on here and try to keep secrets. I'm only kidding. I'm getting angry at my people tonight. Yeah. No, I'm only kidding, Doug, please.
Calm down.
Yeah. I think it's that whole hamburger thing. I feel so embarrassed about
I'm
it.
so hungry right
Yeah.
now.
Alert! They got to be getting some white sea bass somewhere.
Yeah, definitely. I know these yachts are picking some off at these islands now. So,
Okay.
yeah, the Cat has had a few in the back, and Santa Barbara's been
Okay.
good for halibut and sea bass.
Yeah.
We've got so much market squid
I'd like
around
to
here.
see. I'd like to see them at the La Jolla.
Me too.
location
Is there
again.
squid down there?
Not yet, but that's
I
where
would
we
think
start,
it
we
would
start
get-
getting them.
Off
Yeah.
the blacks.
Yeah, yeah.
I would think there'd be squid on La Jolla, and Torrey Pines is a great place for squid
We
in
just
these years.
need to get a hold of the squid. If we
Yeah.
can get out there at night and we get the lights down, which we've got, we can hook up some squid, and because we don't have a boat out there like they do at the Clemente,
Yeah, right,
Catalina.
right. I
He's-
just
he's
feel,
still out there, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
But China shut their market down, so there's not much of a commercial market for market squid right now. So
Fish are full.
yeah, I mean that I feel like it's a magnet. Like if you get that squid off La Jolla,
Yeah.
predators are coming.
Yeah, yeah.
The
Candy.
dinner bell is ringing. You
yeah,
know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so that's what I like about that whole thing. Robert says we did start catching a lot of fish using spreader bars. Oh, he deleted that right in the middle of it, Robert. Scott Grant, in your years on the water, what is the craziest or unique experience both of you have had? Rescues or being boarded by, I assume, Mexican Navy maybe, fishing, sharks, fog. What's the craziest thing?
Oh, I got a good one.
I'm ready.
So we went
I
out.
like good ones.
And
I
we
got one
went out.
too.
We went out to the islands one day, and we got a guy coming up, and I'm trolling with a chum slick, and getting real upset because this punga's coming up in my slick, and I'm going off yelling, "Get the fuck out of my slick!"
Yeah.
Well, it's pongeros back then before the Mexican Navy had Navy boats.
Oh, right. I'm
They
right.
pull up next to us, and one of the kids is probably 16. He's got, I think M16. And
Right.
He doesn't speak a lick of English.
Right.
And they board the boat, and we had done everything legal, thank God. Like, there's nothing weird going on. But he went through the boat. My girl's in the back, and like, what's going on? Just stay back there, honey. And you don't know when you got a guy approaching you with, no words and a lot of scorn. And,
Yeah.
And this all you caught today? We got one yellowtail at the time. We ended up catching 4 more right after he left. But I did go off on him a little bit.
Uh-huh.
I had some architecture designs in the boat, some models, and he started liking that. One of my friends, Damon, spoke Spanish pretty well, and they got friendly, and
Yeah.
everything turned out well. Well, at the end of the boarding, he needed a jump start.
Oh no, that's great.
So he hooked him up, and he was like, "Oh, senor," pretty,
That's great.
Pretty good English.
So I lived in Mexico, I lived in Costa Rica, I lived in China. So I'm used to the whole soldier thing, but I get how terrified some people are like, and I don't worry about it,
Yeah.
But if you're not used to it and you don't speak Spanish,
I've
it
seen
can be a little
enough,
scary.
Yeah, some people are like, "Oh, that's a gun. That's a kid 16, maybe."
Yeah.
And he didn't speak a lick of English, and he just.
I was driving up from Guerrero Negro with my wife once. She doesn't speak English. Speaking of people that don't speak English, she and never learned English in 27 years, but she's from Costa Rica, and we pulled up to a check, and so Federale comes to the window, and I go, "Hey," in Spanish, I go, "Could you do me a favor?" And the guy goes, "What?" And I go, "Could you put her in jail? I just need 3 hours because I've had enough." Okay, she's driving me nuts. She's like, "Felipe, I'm gonna kill you." She's laughing kind of, but and the guy's laughing his ass off. He's thinking it's that. I go, "Just 3 hours, maybe 4. I'm gonna go into town and I'll be back." And he's just laughing. She wants to kill me. It's so funny. So
Good when they have a sense of humor. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. All right, that was a good one. Jolene, what is the largest fish you have ever caught?
Well, my biggest tuna is a 128.
That's a nice one.
I know, but it's from 2016 on one of my charters on the Pacific Voyager. But it's okay.
What do you mean it's okay? That's a great catch.
Before,
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter, but maybe this year's my year.
Yeah.
And I didn't get to answer the question about.
Oh, go ahead. I skipped over something.
Unique experience on the water.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's
yes.
okay. You're really in trouble.
I know, man. I'm blowing this whole thing tonight. Nathan, when this whole thing ends, protect me tonight. Yeah.
Well, anyway, I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, please.
When I worked on the Chubasco at the Oceanside Sea Center, we were out on a half-day trip rock fishing off of Lucadia, and a man became distressed, and I got to perform CPR on him.
Oh,
and
wow.
Saved a life?
Saved a life.
Good for you. That's a great
That's
story.
pretty awesome. Yeah.
Yeah,
his wife was on the boat.
wow,
Oh my
that's
God.
great.
And it ended up being that he had a patch on and he was dehydrated. But the Harbor Patrol came with their boat and got him, and I learned how to do CPR and I got to use it. So.
Well, nobody asked me, but I'm still gonna say. So I've had a ton of stuff, like
we should
almost sinking 3 times with me. My kids won't go with me.
me.
Patrick, my youngest son, he goes, "If you're running the boat, I'm not going." We've had some real close calls. Most of it due to my negligence or stupidity. But the weirdest thing I've had happen to me last year, and it really wasn't that funny. I was walking down the beach. You probably know this, but I don't know if Nathan does. I was going out walking down the beach, and I looked out and I go, "That is a weird piece of driftwood," and the sun was just glaring. I couldn't really. But I go, "That is weird." And then I walked up so I could look back without the sun in my eyes. I go, "That is a dead body."
Yeah.
What?
And I found it, I'm acting like I'm in Surfside, found a dead body. And so I ran out to make sure the guy was indeed dead in case I needed to drag him out. And then I looked around and there was not anybody. And I just looked up and I go, "Why did you put me here? What is this?" So I dialed 911. And I said, "I don't know if this is a 911." She goes, "Oh, yeah. After I told her. And she goes, well, so everybody came. So I put it on YouTube. Obviously, I didn't show any photos or anything. But, I just wanted to tell the public about, hey, this is a weird experience. This is somebody's son or somebody's father. So a week later, his sister-in-law reaches out on YouTube and says, "Praise Allah. Thank you for finding you brought some closure to us." She was in Egypt. He was an Egyptian citizen.
Oh, wow.
He was 33 years old, and it was at least the last time I heard an accidental drowning. I talked to his cousin.
Just swimming?
Both lovely people. Yeah, I never delved into it other than I saw that the police had listed it later as an accidental drowning.
Yeah.
So, yeah. How many times do you have that happen?
Yeah,
that was a weird one.
Not in this country.
Yeah, I know. It was really, really weird. Still, it makes my heart, poor guy. Let's see. would you ever consider taking your boat up to Morro Bay for albacore? You're not a big albacore guy. That's tuna
I
kid.
love
Tuna
albacore.
kid.
The big albacore are really something. They got something with those fins that they just.
Oh, they're
they
bitching,
don't-
aren't
they
they?
don't
Like
come
they're
up.
flying,
And
right?
They get like 40, 50s or up. The big ones are like, I don't think anything pulls like them. But
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
I'm not.
Airplane.
I'm not taking in my boats up that far. No.
Yeah, you're good where you're at.
Well, I like to fly down to Cabo. I like to fly to Tulum. I like to go to Mazatlan or Puerto Vallarta, and it's easier for me than to spend the days on the water getting somewhere.
You're going to Tulum to just recreate?
Yeah, and fish and dive. I've been doing some
Oh, really?
more diving
How's the
lately.
diving and fishing around Tulum?
It's good.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's real good. Yeah. So you get down in 30, 40 foot of water and you can spearfish. I did it in Cabo a couple months ago, and since the heart failure, I'm doing real good there and able to get 4 minutes out of my breath hold. And
Oh,
it's,
nice.
And it's fun to go kill
Heart
stuff
failure? What was that?
again. Year and a half ago, I had heart failure diagnosis.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I'm doing real well after that. So
Are you're good?
yeah, which is not normal.
Uh-huh. Thank God.
Got a defibrillator and they fixed the left ventricle branching
Good, man.
block.
I'm happy. Thank
Yeah,
you.
so,
Thank God.
go from 3 years to decades now. So
Yeah.
got some life ahead of me. I'm real excited.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That's
So I'm
fantastic.
pushing it.
Yeah. Let's see. Good for you. Jolene says Scott Grant CPR key. Good for you.
Thank you.
That's a beautiful thing. What are your guys' favorite yellowtail setups? What's your favorite yellowtail setup?
I'm gonna have to
Like
go
fishing
with
the iron, or
Yeah, I like fishing the iron, but I think the Calcutta, the 400 or the 200, as far as reels and bait fishing, and I love fishing the iron too. Of
Yeah.
course,
Yeah.
The iron's always fun. That's where I've done a lot of winter yellow fishing at the islands on that boat, and just me and my girl used to go out there and just catch as many as you wanted,
right?
because those home guards are here year round. Get 40-pound fish sometimes in the winter, but it's for me. Get fishing the light line. They're not a real toothy fish, and I like fishing them light.
You like the whole battle of it
I
all?
like the battle. I like to say I caught a 30, 40, 50-pound fish on
12
pound.
pound. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
I like
works.
to
It works.
say I caught a 18 pounder on 100 pound myself. I
You
actually
got
do
bit.
some.
That's actually some skill.
Not when it's an iron.
There you go. Okay. Real fast too.
And Joe says amen. I think he's making reference to the fact you saved a life. That's a really beautiful thing. I mean, you can take that one to your grave.
Yeah, it was, what was his name? Kathy and Bob, and they would come out, and they were new fishermen, and he's 80 years old,
Oh, wow.
and so we were all fishing, and I let him use my setup because I had spinning reels that didn't go all the way to the bottom, and he caught a couple fish. I took a couple pictures. He told his wife he wanted to sit down on the engine cover where the seats are,
Yeah.
and then I look over and she's shaking him like, Bob, Bob, Bob. And then I go, oh boy, here we go. And then I said, I go, is there a nurse or a doctor on the boat? And there was like over 20 people. No one said anything. So I just got into action. I learned what to do and went in the galley and made him a burger. No, just kidding. No.
Well, I'm never going to live this one
know.
down, am I?
No, got him a cushion and we laid him down and I performed CPR and like sometimes when that happens to a person that's in distress, they want to throw up, so you put them on their side so they don't choke, and then
Either that or point them towards Scott Buchert.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's good.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, he was grateful, and like I said, the harbor patrol came in their boat and took over. Paramedics took over, and ambulance was there when we got to the dock, and it ended up being that he was dehydrated. He didn't drink enough water, and he had a patch on. So
Patches dehydrate you.
Mhm.
Yeah. So you got to drink a lot of water when you put a patch
Yeah.
on. Yeah. Does it matter? Any fluid
like
work?
Gatorade's
I didn't
good.
know that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
had no idea.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Yeah.
Can I'm not asking because I don't. But can you drink beer?
I guess. I guess
If you wanna
but
throw
I
the
don't
dice,
know. I
right?
don't think that's a good combination.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it, but
Zofran is one that I've been introduced to for anti-nausea.
yeah.
It's real benign and very good, at the moment rather than taking it the day before and being extremely tired the whole time. But Zofran is something that people can use. It's a good one. Like 4 milligrams is the dosage.
when people book with you, should they call? Is there a number to call, or
Yeah,
should they
there's-
book online?
It's $3 to book online, but it's best to call.
Yeah.
That way you can get your discounts.
Have we given that number?
The number is 858-336-6594, and I can answer any questions and go about customizing things. And what's on the website is not set in stone. I can modify things pretty easily. And
Give that number one more time, a little slower.
858-336-6594. So yeah, I just like to get to know the people, what they're looking to do, and what their experience level is, and kind of where I think they should be going. And then my skippers are pretty, in tune with what is going on at the time, so they can talk about that before they leave. I don't want to just say, we're doing this, you don't have any input. Sometimes people want to do what they want to do, and they don't want to fish the bay because the bay is not far enough out. Okay, we'll take you outside. We'll catch, bonito, maybe rockfish if it's in season. Barracuda, some yellowtail are outside, but I'm gonna point you in the right direction. If people don't want to go what I suggest or what my captain suggests, we'll do what you want to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
That way,
It's
no
all
one's
about
pointing
having a good
fingers. Yeah, it's not, and sometimes people want to see the ocean and go out and see whales and the dolphins. We get a lot of experiences. We can reach down on that bow on the long run and touch the dolphins.
That's bitchin'.
I've done that a bunch of times.
Yeah.
When the biolume's coming through at night, it's the best visual. It's like fireworks. You
bet.
got these tubes going through the water. They're riding the bow, and bait balls are going by, but everything's lit up with the biolume. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Oh my God! I still remember running a little commercial boat out of Redondo, going to Tannerbank, and just being out of my mind, tired. I thought a freaking torpedo was coming at us a few times at night.
Right.
Doesn't it?
Yeah,
You're like,
exactly.
what the? Oh shit! It looked like a freaking torpedo,
Exactly.
man.
Or when the mullet comes up and everyone's going, shark, shark, shark. It's a sunfish, shark.
All right, Israel de la Cruz wants to know, Nathan, what is the biggest forky, the biggest yellowtail you ever caught?
40 pounds.
That's a nice one.
Yeah, that was off the islands. I was fishing.
Coronado Islands?
Yeah, I was fishing threshers, 12, 13 years ago. And Amanda Robertson actually reeled that one in. She weighed about a buck and a quarter, maybe $1.10 or something. But
Yeah.
she spent a long time on that fish. But it was a real 40 pounder, and we had wire leader and everything because those X wraps are just that sardine colored X wraps. My go-to for just about everything. And the small ones, when the fish are looking at the saris or the micros, people are trolling these big jigs around. Those little X wraps are just key. So
Yeah.
I put some wire cable on that and 40-pound yellowtail. She was stoked. But yeah.
I'm totally enjoying tonight. This is a great show. Any idea how long we've been talking? I love to ask my guests that. Don't you dare! We're moving up on 2 hours. Does it
Crazy.
feel like
Oh,
it?
it feels like 20 minutes.
Man, I'm telling you, yeah. Remember, you get a $100 discount if you mention Friedman Adventures. If you mention my name and you see Nathan on the street, he'll throw you right out of the wherever you are. No, he'll give you a $100 discount. And don't forget to hit that like button. We're almost to 40 now. That's pretty
I
good.
said 50.
Yeah, keep it rocking, everybody. If you think you're going home early tonight, you got another thing coming because there's more questions.
Good. I like it.
Yeah, me too. I'm all over this. All right, your brother. Hi, Phil. Hi, sis. And I welcome Nathan. Very good show. What about those hats, sister? Advertising. Thank you so much. Yeah, you can get these hats. Go to my Facebook page, Friedman Adventures. There's a link, and you can get some merch now. We're finally starting to get some merch together as we move up on 2 million views here pretty darn soon. So I owe that all to you guys. Thank you so very much for your great support. All right, Tim Marquez, a little late, but I'm in for the exploratory trip too. What do we have, 5? How many we need? 6?
I mean, plus us, yeah.
I think we're done, man. Almost.
We're
Keep
there.
coming. We'll run another trip.
Mike and Ross will want to go on that too. We're there.
Oh my God, that's so cool, right?
Yeah.
Man, I tell you, that is. I'm getting excited.
Yeah.
Go out and make a big catch, the first one of the year.
Yeah. Well,
Set the
before we run out of time too, I wanted to.
Yeah,
I was talking to Jolene about this earlier, and I see a lot of people running up on the porpoise, when the yellowfin are under them.
Yeah.
And usually when they're doing flips and this and that, they don't have bait on them. I don't know why they don't have the yellowfin on them.
Yeah.
Because they're playing, but when they're in feeding mode, a lot of people will go buzz right through them, and it shuts them down. It shuts everything down. So the key is to get in front of them, way in front of them. If your boat is anywhat loud, like big diesels or, anything over a couple hundred horsepower outboards, you want to shut it down. And what I do is I chunk up a bunch of sardines, and I have been known in bluefin situations to mix sand in there. So you get a half a bucket of this stuff, and you're ready to go. You can fan this stuff out in front of the porpoise, and you turn your boat into a kelp patty as far as they're concerned.
Right.
They feed there until you're done. And
Yeah.
I mean, 8:30 in the morning, I've had a couple thousand pounds on multiple occasions.
Really?
Yeah, and so it's a bloodbath, but they won't leave your boat while you're catching fish if you keep feeding them a couple of chunks here.
Wow.
And there. But
And
like I
this-
said, the sand in it, it brings it down. If you meter bluefin real deep, and I like to give this stuff away because it's, that's what we're here for.
Good stuff.
You get the ladder, so you see fish at 100 to 200 feet even, and you start throwing a few chunks with sand, and it drags that down, and they start following the ladder back up, and you're, East Coast stuff. A lot of people don't fish
Right.
chunks here, but the chunk thing it's a huge key.
Yeah, right?
Get your bite on.
So you get in front of that pod of dolphin and anticipate the direction they're moving in, shut down.
Yeah,
and
shut
then-
down, or we don't even shut down. I mean, they come right up to this boat. I mean, it's a real quiet engine. We don't have a lot of diesel fumes. A lot of people get sick from that. When we're out at sea at night, and I'm watching all this crazy biolume shit, I'm by myself. That's the most serene I've ever been. I can hear the waves instead of
Yeah.
the motor,
Yeah.
So the fish like that too. Some boats have great harmonics. Some boats are, wood boats in particular. But this engine they absolutely love. The Long Run is a fishy boat. So,
That's awesome.
so that's nice. It's not all about speed. Running gun is great if you got something like Witchy Woman, but you don't need it. If you can, find out where the slicks are on the water, where the currents are moving separately, the game trails, watch your temp gauge, see where the temp comes up more than a couple of 2 or 3 degrees. If it's more than that in a matter of a couple hundred yards, you're in a good spot.
That's great.
That's where the kelp patties are going to be.
Yeah.
Then set up, turn your boat off. If you can't, you have a quiet boat, then sit and fish. A lot of people hit patties for a couple of minutes and they leave. Give it 10 minutes.
Or they run over them.
Yeah, they give it 10 minutes, and that's the other thing. If you can get out there on a day that's not a Saturday or a early Sunday, sometimes you want to go in the evening and fish till dark because those patties haven't had the shit beat out of them for, a couple of hours.
Yeah.
And those weekdays are great, because they do get traffic, they do get spooked. And if you can go up current of them and just drift way past them and not go over the top of them, just a lot of rules and regs to maintain courtesy out there. And once a boat drifts past the kelp, then, you make your round again, and they can make that around, and you talk on the radio, and you keep your boats way beyond jig casting distance. And
Yeah.
you work with each other, and this is the way we don't get hung up with battles out there and stuff like that.
I know, because there's some nasty battles sometimes that take
people
place,
do a lot of
right?
stupid shit.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
I've lost a lot of lures to people just, right off fishing off the side, drive right all over them.
yeah.
So it's just common courtesy,
Right.
Be respectful, and that's kind of where I come from.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, Tim, so you're on the trip too, man. All right, Scott Grant, remember, hit that like button and reintroduce the guests. Oh, now I got a director here. Reintroduce the guests as I got off work early, but everyone joining now needs to catch up. All right, so Nathan Beall and Jolene Thompson, two wonderful people. Go ahead, since the director,
Yeah, I'm
Scott
the
Grant,
owner of the
he's a
Long
freaking
Run.
lawyer, so you know how lawyers get,
Yeah, it's all being recorded.
Yeah.
It's the Long Run Sport Fishing and Witchy Woman Charters, both my companies. And I'm just going on 30 years of doing this, and I want to get people out there. It's my number is 858-336-6594. The website is thelongrunsportfishing.com.
And your phone number's there too, right?
Yeah, the phone number's there too, but it's 858-336-6594. I do take texts. I work pretty much all the time. If it's midnight, you got to hanker into text me, call me, whatever. I don't
Oh my God, you're like me, except I turn my phone off at night. Mostly because Scott Buchert calls me 24 hours a day. But
Yeah, we're always open.
he's demanding
Right.
that I take my phone off the whatever it is.
Put it on sleep.
I just learned that trick. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, that's a good one. All right, let's see. Joe says, I really like this guy, so informative. Oh, you're talking about me? Thank you, Joe. No, he's talking about you, Nathan. I do too. You're great, man. Sharing all this info is really a cool thing.
Appreciate your
And
invite.
I'm
Nice to make the acquaintance.
come on, man.
You're
It's
the
my
man.
pleasure. My pleasure.
My
You're making
pleasure.
this show so great tonight. Scott Grant, Mad Max, hyper real. Are they that good?
The reel, I don't know about them. I know that Mad Max are great lures for the bluefin, but yeah, I don't.
No, he's asking, are Mad Max the real deal? Are
Oh,
they?
yeah,
Do they
yeah.
work?
Yeah, they work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
work
do,
real-
right?
They work real well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we were doing the Halco thing before that, and then, like I said, the X-Wraps have always been my go-to, but the Mad Max are just a bigger version, and they're a little deeper diver, and they're, come in 100 different colors. I don't know that the color matters as much as dark and light. Fish darken darker days, and
Yeah.
fish brighter colors in brighter days.
Yeah.
Why that is, you got me. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But I know that, they work real well.
Isaac wants to know if you do any lobster trips.
We do lobster trips. We've got the hoop nets. We've got the volcanoes, a good one. So anytime someone wants to hit us up, we can do a 3 or 4 hour. Yeah,
And I'm sure, how's San Diego Bay for lobster?
they're there. There's sometimes it depends. If you've got a storm, it's
Right.
raining out. They do what it's called a march, and you might just kill them.
Yeah.
And some guys are knocking them dead on even off nights. So there's patterns to them, but I think after a rain, a storm, maybe it's because something gets stirred up. They got more food to eat.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is with the runoff, but that's when they really seem to pop.
And that makes sense because last night we were out and it blew right up until the time we left. And the day and the previous day was windy and it rained a little bit. So the guy that ran the boat last night, Chase, he said,
So
"Hey
that's a
man,
good time to
this is a
go."
good." And man, every drop we had 12 bugs.
No kidding.
They're shorts, and we ended up with 11 keepers, which is great. But it was
Yeah.
like fun,
Yeah.
You're always yanking something up.
Kids
and-
love that too.
Yeah,
Just
totally.
Pick through it, an octopus, and
Yeah.
oh, it's starfish.
Right? I
Lots
mean,
of
it's
pictures.
cool.
Yeah.
It's one of those It's like you got to learn more in that environment than you do in a school. I mean, I'm not saying you shouldn't go to school, but I'm not. But I've learned way more
Depends on the
traveling.
school, right?
Yeah, I get a little bored sometimes at school, and
Yeah.
when you're out traveling and learning
It's
languages
fascinating.
and learning stuff, or on a boat,
Yeah.
if you should combine both those things, the academics and that. But
Yeah, but
I
we know
just
so
feel like-
little about the ocean, and
Yeah.
that's why it's just fascinating for all of us who've been doing it for years to not know what you're going to catch, to not have that mystery of because it's going to be 100-pound fish or a 2-pound fish.
Yeah. Joe is demanding that I have you back on the show really, really soon. Are you going to make that drive up again, Nathan?
Yeah, I'll do it anytime.
Yeah, why not, man?
Oh, I'd love to be back.
Oh,
It's a good
shoot. Well, we're not quite through yet, but I mean, everybody loves you, and you're a
Right.
great person. I can't wait to fish with you. I think
Yeah.
that's going to be good.
time. I'm looking forward to it.
Don't forget, $100 off if you mention Friedman Adventures, thanks to Nathan's generosity. Tuna Tails. When is the tuna season going to start? So, Tuna Tails, we've been talking about doing an exploratory trip. I'm going to defer to Nathan, though. What do you think? Anytime now?
Well, I mean, if the fish were there yesterday and it was talking about mass quantities just below the border, I don't think we have a long time to wait.
Yeah, right?
A couple of storms down off Cabo and pockets gets pushed up. It could be any day now.
Yeah.
You know,
Like,
who knows? Maybe that was a pocket. Maybe we missed it. I don't know. But I think until we get out there, we're not going to find out.
and if somebody were to go out and make a catch tomorrow, would you be shocked?
No.
I get
No,
the
I
feeling
mean,
you
no.
would not be shocked at
No,
all.
because they see them and those fish have got to eat. My feeling is in the beginning of the season, bluefin are real skittish, and I
Yeah.
don't know why. I could be wrong, but it seems like they're real line shy. They're real tons of fish everywhere, and they just don't seem to want to go. All show no go. But
Right.
as the season moves on, they get more and more willing to eat the paint off your boat, and I don't know what it is. The only thing I can speculate is that it's the size of the baits.
Yeah,
And so if
when
you're-
they're on that real small
when
bait.
we're on the real small stuff, I'll start using jet heads, the real tiny ones, like 2-3 inch jet heads.
Yeah,
And match the dark to the dark and the light to the light, and that's worked for me quite a bit. When no one else is getting bit, you put on something that's 2 inches because the bait they're eating, these little sauries or the micros, they're not these sardines that are 5 to
right. They
7.
look at that like, what the hell is that,
Yeah,
right?
They know. Somehow they know.
Yeah.
And then the line size and the hook size and all that matters. So, it's just trial and error. But I think going small works, especially on the troll, because you can troll whatever. You don't have to cast that.
Was that Dorado bite that we just went through, was that an aberration? We'll never see it again, or is that going to repeat itself again this year?
I don't know. I mean, my guess is as good as any, but might not be as good as any. But it's gotten better every year, and last year was just out of this world, like 3 times better than the year before. But we're seeing more. We're seeing a little bit better grade. Down in Mexico, we're getting 50, 60, 70-pound fish at times. Here, I was telling Jolene earlier, we might get 20 to 25 pounders, but those are nice bulls. And once those fish grow a little bit more, I mean, where are all those fish from last year going to go?
Yeah.
I don't know where they go.
I don't either.
I mean, I know that warm waters and the global warming and things
Yeah.
are changing with the currents, and this is affecting all this. But let's be there when it happens. At least take advantage of it.
Yeah, Joe wants to know, do you think the bluefin will be close this year? It sounds like they already are.
Well, it sounds like it.
Yeah.
And they were again last year. 2 years ago, there were a lot more closer fish. Last year, we did have to go a little bit to get any of the fish over 100 pounds that we got. It was a little bit of a jaunt, more than 20 or 30 miles. But the fish were at the 9 on a few occasions that were 200 and 300 pound catches.
Wow.
And we weren't getting them, but I mean, we did get some at the islands at Clementi, and so that's. I'm hoping.
And isn't it weird to be fishing next to like the Royal Polaris and the XL, and they're right, they're up near the guys that are up here.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're sitting. A lot of these boats are going out and sitting and waiting instead of overshooting the fish, because you got all these fish on the meter mark, and you're like,
Yeah.
save your fuel, guys. I mean, it makes it look good if you're driving real far, and a lot of people want to go real far, but there's a problem with overshooting fish.
Yeah, right. I mean,
There's
why overshoot it
There's
when
no
it's right
sense in
there?
it, yeah.
Because the light switch is just off at that point, maybe, and it's going to go on at some point in time.
Yeah, and then night fishing for the bluefin too. If you got a good bait source, now we got a 4-scoop bait tank, so we can chunk up a bunch of bait.
Yeah.
And that makes it go 4 times further. We can throw tons of chum, and that helps on the cattle boats. That's why they do so well on the plunker bites, because they got a huge bait capacity.
Yeah, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. Well, I mean, I hate to wrap this up,
Yeah.
but 2 hours has flown by,
Totally
Nathan.
fun. Wow, absolutely.
Yeah, it really has. If anybody has another question before we wrap up, we will take it. One more time again, give out your info. It's been a real pleasure. I got to tell you,
I
you're a
appreciate it.
great guest.
I appreciate
Yeah,
it. You're
Jolene.
a great host.
You're always awesome.
Oh, I don't know.
So I'm Nathan Beall, the owner of the Long Run Sport Fishing and Witchy Woman Charters. The main website is thelongrunsportfishing.com, and the number is 858-336-6594. Check out the website, look at the pricing, and then call me, because I can probably work a deal, especially during the week. So there's some benefits. Plus, we're mentioning Phil Friedman here, and you get $100 off of that. So
Yeah, that's the
everybody
first time
working
somebody mentions my name. Normally they get kicked out of the bar or something. So that's a good thing. Scott Grant says, great guest. Thanks, Phil. And Scott, it's always good to see you. Maybe you can make one of these trips with us also. I'm telling you, man, I'm excited because I don't know whether I think I'm more excited about the halibut thing, to be honest with you.
It's easy too. It's a 6-hour trip. We can go out and we can go get our bait and relax.
Yeah.
It-
You
it's a
don't
long
have, you're
time
not fighting
fishing.
the waves, and you're in the sun. The Point Loma blocks the wind. Even when it's not a beautiful day out everywhere else, it's a beautiful day out in the bay most of the time. So that's
Let me know when they're biting, man.
that's pretty key.
Nope.
It's going to start. I mean, it's always biting, but we're going to see some bigger catches more frequently, and I'll keep it posted for sure.
And I'll also be adding Scott's phone number and website to the show description. So those of you folks who are watching this show tomorrow or someday in the future, it'll be archived, as you well know, and there'll be thousands more people who watch it. Go to the show description, and you'll be able to find Nathan's phone number there, as well as his website, so we can direct more people your way. All right, I'm going to walk over there because our executive producer, Fish, he just left, right?
Yeah, I ditched
The
it.
fish go.
So I'm going to let you two look in that camera and say, because these people absolutely loved both of you tonight. So
right.
great job. I'll let you say goodbye, thank you, whatever you throw a kiss,
Yeah.
whatever you want to do.
Thank you all for
Thanks for watching.
participating.
Come
Yes,
out and
we'd
fish
love
with
it.
us on
Yes,
the
yeah.
long run.
Give us a holla.
All right, thanks you guys. Really,
Yeah.
really appreciate everything.
You
Thank
too, brother.
you.
Thank you.